This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud naming rights partner of the Waffle and the WAFLW. The rear-wheel drive V6 twin-turbo Kia Stinger. Simply Energy, proudly supporting WA footy. And the West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams.
Are you ready? Ready to go? Are you ready? Ready for more? Are you ready? Ready for me? Oh my life, are you ready? Ready and now to keep going, and I can't stop. Are you ready? Ready for me? Oh my life, oh my life. Are you ready? Are you ready?
It's the grand final replay, round 4 of WAFLW action, coming to you from Steel Blue Oval. Good afternoon. It's a shocking day here in Perth. It's wet, it's windy, there's puddles all over Bassendean Oval, and we're in for a massive clash. The two teams that met in last year's grand final, Swan Districts and East Fremantle, but neither team coming into this match with the same sort of form that they found towards the end of last season. Dave Lindsay in commentary. Here's the weather for you, brought to you by Front Row Screens. The maximum high today, 18 degrees. I think we reached that a long time ago. It's been plummeting since then. A 100% chance of rain. I can tell you that's already happened, and it will continue to happen throughout the day. Chance of a thunderstorm during the afternoon and evening, and winds up to nearly 50 kilometres per hour. So, as you can imagine, certainly not great conditions for footy. Much better to be sitting at home watching this live stream of last year's best two teams as it turned out. But this year, both teams have struggled so far. Just one win apiece in the opening 3 rounds, and both teams won in round 1, but have lost 2 games in a row since then. So it's been a big struggle for Swans and East Fremantle to this point of the season, and both teams need to get their year back on track today. And it's the sort of day that coaches will be saying, get in there, have a crack, and show us what you can do, because 4 points is worth so much here today. The two teams desperately needing a win. You can see Swans going through the warm-up there on your screen at the moment, and lots of puddles down that end. That's the deep end of Bassendean Oval, and East Fremantle warming up at the shallow end away to the right of your screen. The captains have come together. They've had the toss, and we'll be getting into some action shortly. Last week we had the skipper of the Fremantle AFLW lineup. We've got another Fremantle star in the commentary box. We'll introduce her shortly, as well as our other commentator this afternoon. Your match for broadcast, East Fremantle and Swan Districts, our match of the day here as the Waffle live stream continues. It's round 4. Back with more in a moment.
All the great teams have many things in common. That ability to deliver when it counts. That certain style about the way they do things. That ongoing quest to be the best.
Goes back to back.
And at Kia, that team mantra is everything. We're proud to support the WAFL and proud to offer Australia's best 7-year warranty. Because with Kia, we've got your back.
Sorry.
Just wait.
It's funny.
Dad.
Party purpose.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Swans and East Fremantle, your match for broadcast here from Steel Blue Oval. The lights are on. The rain is falling and it's been a yucky day outside. There's probably no better word to describe it. It's been horrible out there for junior footy this morning, getting soaked. Not as wet as my son was, to be fair. I was trying to hide under the shelter, but the kids out there had a great time splashing around the puddles. And I reckon the girls out here today will enjoy this as well. It's going to be hard work for them, but they'll get in amongst it, and both teams desperate for a win. Dave Lindsay in commentary alongside Clint Degerot, the manager of female talent from the WA Footy Commission. Good afternoon, Degs.
How you going?
Very well, thanks. What are you expecting this Arvo?
I'm expecting me to stay out of the rain. This was a wet feet, the Game of Thrones reference I make. Wet feet being the most horrible thing of that TV show. I'm expecting East Fremantle to be really strong here, can to bounce back. On paper, look the goods. Swanee has been battling really hard, and as you said, pre the ad break, 1 and 2 each side, so I think it'll be a hard fought contest. Fremantle maybe just a bit too quality today, especially with the advent of Gabby O'Sullivan back into the team.
Yes, and again, some AFLW players sprinkling back into the lineup, and we have an AFLW player with us this afternoon who cost her AFLW captain a house last week. We had Cara Antonio in the box, and she was very confident when Hayley Miller lined up for goal. I think it was in the first quarter, Hayley, and she said, "There's no way she'll miss this. I'll put my house on it." And we got a very quick phone call from Ebony saying, "Well, where are we moving to? Because we've just lost our house." Welcome, Hayley. Great to have you with us.
Thanks, guys. I think, she put the mocker on me, so
Certainly did.
I would have got it if she hadn't said that.
We'll see whether you can put the mock on someone here today. I think every commentator's done it on their debut, so I'm sure you will as well. You've re-signed with the Dockers during the week. Great news.
Yeah, two-year deal. So, really exciting, obviously, to be back at Freo for another 2 years, and we've got lots to build on.
Mim Strom and Roxy Rue, the other two that put pen to paper this week. So a pretty good trio of players to be signed up by Fremantle as we get underway in this one. The grand final replay of last year. And those two teams were red hot when we got to the end of the season last year. Well, they haven't started the season in quite the same form. We saw East Fremantle a few weeks ago, Degs, against South Fremantle, which was a total mismatch. And we saw Swans last week. They struggled to keep pace with Subiaco. So much to play for these two. A third ball up in the middle to get things underway. That's Wilstra in the ruck, who's got it moving Swans' way. Morrison now with the first kick of the game. Boucher, who was very quiet last week, just nudged off the ball by Norris, wearing the long sleeves. Puts toe to ball rather, and again towards the boundary. Has Boucher now to get around. Gives it away to Inglis Hodge. And there'll be a lot of ground ball today, you would think, in these slippery conditions. Ross will do well to keep this in. She does. And sends it long. Kicking for distance. O'Sullivan just clears her head. She doesn't waste any time hacking it forward out of mid-air, gaining another 30 metres, but giving away the free kick. And Swans through Gelmy will have it at right half back.
Gabby O'Sullivan coached the East Fremantle Rogers Cup team this morning, and she encouraged them to take grass and not use their hands, and taking a leaf out of her own book as the ball marking from free kick here from Swans almost connected with in the mid-wing. Driving now by O'Sullivan forward towards the top of the 50. Skips past Sparks. Foot race now. Lauren Osborne. Handball release, but she releases it straight to East Fremantle, who are going to put this deep in the square through Riley. Leading back in the race looks to be Nanit. Nanit just gets her hand on the ball and sees it through for a behind. Nice ball movement, Hayley.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, Swans might struggle a little bit with their normal gameplay. They like the backdoor and the switch option. If it does continue to pelt down, I think they're going to struggle with that. And East Freo just sort of surging the ball forward is what you need to do in this weather.
Handball from Cole. Follow up from the outlet kick from Maguire was good. Cole again on the rebound, but leading the ball was Williams. Over the back, Krasowski tiptoes through the puddle. Aware of how cold and horrible the boots are going to be for the rest of the day after the first 30 seconds of the game. Back feed to Williams. Tries to connect with Wong. Hasn't quite collected. Jumping into her back. First impact on the game's whole. And we'll have a repeat stoppage. We said the deep end's the far end, Reg.
Yep.
It's pretty deep on the wing here too.
I'm concerned someone could drown on this side. I thought Sharon Wong there was just about to put her head under the water from Holwell, but no free kick. O'Sullivan preferring the soccer kick again. Morrison watched her opponent come at her and then tried to paddle it around her. Paddle's the operative word today. She's still going through and earns herself a free kick. Great drive of the legs there. Dragged an opponent towards her, who dragged her to ground. Now Morrison normally uses the ball well. Today's not a day for precise kicking. Cole out the back door, gets shoved in the back. Umpire saw it that way. Davison's alert. She's awake, plays onto advantage, breaks inside 50, kicks over the head of a forward. Stripley leading back in the race. If she's clean here, could have a snap on goal. Little fumble. Works out okay, in fact, in the end, because it'll be a stoppage deep inside 50. And that was quite good ball movement there, Hayley, getting Swans from half-back all the way to a forward pocket stoppage.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, through the puddles as well, they did well. It's really good, though, to see Alex Williams back out there. Obviously, I know she's worked so hard getting back from an ACL injury about a year and a half ago now. But good to see her out there, and would like to see her get her hands on the ball today.
Hodge doing nicely, finds Prentice, but Prentice's kick is turned over. It's in the hands of Michaela Hyde. Touched, as you saw. Bianca Webb can't get a kick away. Fierce pressure from the Sharks, so she shovels the ball forward. Looks like Norrish at the back. Sort of tapping here is Michaela Hyde again. No stranger to the goal face, Michaela Hyde. Good tackle from Michaela Morrison. Allows Bree Hyde to be involved as she shoveled off it by Lily Bird. So it's Michaela again, very busy early, Michaela. Little one-hand tackle, pulled Morrison off the ball. Coach's box next to us asking the question.
They say not sure she connected boot to ball then, but the umpire didn't see anything wrong with it.
No pry perhaps. Ball by East Fremantle. It's going to be rebounded here. Maguire spins, finds Michaela Hyde, very busy early. She steps Sharon Wong. Puts ball to a good spot for the Swans, but Williams in control. Kicks it back to work from whence it came. Pack forms, trying to crash through again, the Sharks, trying to drive. Let it go on the tackle, says the ump. Versace has to hand it over. It's in the hands of Wilstra. Wilstra, good ball again, kicking to the deep end. Watch out, Tara Stribley. Boucher comes at it, can't quite get it. Spills to Norrish. Usually calm in the situation. Looking to connect with Spark. Ball's in her hands. She assesses, releases the ruckman. Bowie can't quite complete the transaction. Sparks again. Ross tries to go under a tackle. Ball spills forward again. Davison swoops on. Lovely tackle pressure provided there on by East Fremantle from Plushke. Saw Davison light up, and Plushke's eyes lit up with her.
So still just the one behind on the board to the Sharks early. Rushed behind. Here's Brianna Hyde giving a hand pass away to Webb. Wants to fend off Ross and then gets boot to ball. Gets it inside the 50. Almost held on to by Stribley. She becomes the tackler on Inglis Hodge. Quick snap from Cole. Deep into the pocket, and it runs away for a boundary throw. Looks as though, Hayley, we've got one umpire who's prepared to put the whistle away totally, and the other one wants to pay free kicks, which could make for an interesting afternoon.
Yeah, you get that sometimes. You know, the umpires, you got one that'll absolutely ping everything, and that's what it's looking like at the moment. But Swans need to just lock this in here and try and get some score on the board.
The man on the screen there just backpedaling out the way. He's reluctant to blow the whistle so far. His mate wasn't too shy of pinging a player for holding the ball. Nice roost there from Slisha. Good distance on the kick, and it skids away. There's no one ahead of this play for either team at the moment. Important ball to be won. It's won by Osborne, holding things up for Swans. High kick back into the middle. Standing underneath it was Bird. Couldn't take the mark. Quick hands from the black and whites. Gets it out to Osborne again. Works it towards half forward. Davison hits up at the footy. Another little sidestep. Then the banana kick inside the arc. Norrish the only one back there for East Fremantle. A little fumble, but time to recover. And the Sharks can set something up. The kick comes out towards Wong. Draws the tackler towards her. Cox wraps her up well. And the umpire decides to ball it up. Left half forward. Good contest early. Sharks with the only score of the game.
Cox and Wong fought that out nicely there. Both got what they were after. Wilstra up. Give that to Bowie. Back to Wong. Sweeping nicely. Surge kick forward. Walsh. Over the back to Riley. Chooses to kick it off the ground. Sparks in a good spot if this ball sits, although the pressure is now coming from behind from Cripps. Young player, Olivia Cripps. She also opts for the ground option. Bree Hyde arrives to help out. Fumble. And the ever-reliable Lauren Osborne. This is intercepted by Hayley O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan connects with a neat little kick forward. It's in the hands now of Emily Bird, and she flips it across to Riley. Riley plays on quickly, has a shot from 35. Post height, Chloe Riley. She kicks the first of the game.
It's a good lead up, sort of build up into that play, and that's what you need to do is quick slingshot off. Obviously, Swans had it down in their forward line for a fair bit of time, and then it was that quick slingshot, get it forward as quick as you can and play on and get it through the big sticks.
16 years old, Chloe Riley, turning 17, having an impact at league level.
She's pretty alert around the goals. Didn't need much of a chance there at all. Hayley, you took on Swan Districts last week. What, without giving away too many strategies that you employed, what sort of things do Subiaco like to do against Swan Districts? Where do they think they can catch the Swans out?
I think there's been a bit of a rivalry with Swans over the last couple of years. So we both know how each other play quite well, and you got to shut down Swan's backdoor option. That's what they want to do. They want to go backdoor and they want to switch it. So if you can shut that down, you're going to have a good day out in the park.
Here's Fremantle. First goal of the game, and they've worked it towards half forward. Clever play by Riley again. Got rid of her opponent. Hand pass inside the slicer. 50 out. Long kick to the top of the goal square. Getting back there is Spark. It clears her head and then bounces into the padding of the post. And we'll see a throw in deep forward. I'll get you to talk about the runners as well at some stage, Hayley, because there's been a number of AFLW players rotating through the runners' positions at the various clubs, and they're all wearing the skins today on the legs, which I'm not sure about that, Dex. I'm not sure what your thoughts are of skins for runners. You've got to be a bit tougher, don't you, if you're wearing the pink?
Might also be against the rules and regs, I think, but you're a brave person to come and say, go the shorts and not the skins today. I think a few people will get given the credit. Emily Bonza is the most rugged up runner we've seen so far this year. She's wearing a beanie and a jumper under the silks. We're in the forward line for East Fremantle. It's Rosie Walsh doing the ruck work, going full forward. Maguire sharks this one, kicks towards Alston. She pushes the ball down to Wong. Wong's little connection is a good idea, just not on the same page at the same time. The Sharks, the ball spills out on the far side.
Yeah, I think the girls, obviously the AFLW girls, as they start to build themselves, whether they're going to play or not, they enjoy getting around, obviously, their WAFLW team. So one good way of doing that is being the runner, and you get to be out there with the girls. Kayla
Hyde, busy start to the game, couldn't quite get this one away. Maguire has been given kicking duties today, why not? This goes out towards Stribley. Spill out over the line without being touched, and it'll be an East Fremantle ball. Gentleman on the far side, boundary wise, more hips in the lasso call than we've seen. Going to get to do it again. He was very conservative that time. Now's his opportunity with the camera right on him to really dance.
At least he had the full arm extension. That one we saw at Freo a couple of weeks ago with the half arm.
He was ashamed of the call. He was ashamed to do it. Kick in from Cox is okay towards Anderson. Over the back now. Sharks converge. Lots of pushing and shoving, as we'll expect to see lots today, and this time a regulation throw in. The ball spilled out off hands. Looked like Wong last to influence that contest. Great to see Schleiser. How much have you had to do with Schleiser, Hayley?
Not too much. She obviously came into it and then went over to Collingwood for a fair few years. So she's been over there and hasn't played a lot of the WAFLW, or I don't think she's played any WAFLW except for this year, bar a couple of games maybe. But she's really impressed me when now Super Girls played East a couple of weekends ago. She was really, really good.
It's good. Meanwhile, speaking of good, Curry was good at top of 50. The kick wasn't quite as good as the leading mark. I'm just having a bit of a wrestle now. Just inside 50, Sharks goal. They look to control the perimeter at the moment. Contest is okay by Swans. Neat tap down. Shoveled forward by foot was through Cox. Contest and combat now. Fierce attack on the ball there from Zoe Gillard. Come to expect that. She likes to put her head and shoulders over the ball. She likes to power her legs.
It's got Sinead Davison, her match up early in this game. A couple of players that did a lot of work through the Jan Cooper Cup earlier this year. Fortunately, the Start 18s program grinding to a halt for the moment at least. Didn't get a chance to see how they might go against the other states. Free kick here for Wong. Always prepared to put her body on the line. Kick straight into the player on the mark. Comes off hands. East Fremantle will get a second opportunity. Wong dragged to ground. Had the umpire see this one. Holding on. I think initially Wong might have thought that free kick was going the other way, but she'll get it. This time gets back off the mark a little bit more. Goes straight down the middle of the ground. Over the pack. Osborne a little fumble. Now she's got some problems. She was taken high though. A little bit clumsy. Deep in attack there by Curry. And Osborne will get the free kick.
Lauren Osborne's been going around a few years now. She knows exactly what to do in that situation, and that's her bread and butter.
Very reliable, isn't she? Bit of a rock in defence for Swan Districts. Another free kick. Davison working down the ground. No one stands the mark, so she's able to play on. Little chip pass is clever. Cole just trailing in behind the leading web. Takes the mark. Oh, Killard could have given away 50 there, and the umpire took a little while to work it out. I think there might have been maybe a Swans player just reminded him of the rules, because Gillard just about crashed into Davison as she's ready to take a kick. She
It's
wants to
another
get
one
away
there
with it
from-
quickly. There is the 50 on the screen as Cole plays on, goes straight down the middle, good delivery. And here will be a shot on goal through Swan District's Shannon Matthews, is it? Listed as number 11 for us, but I've got her as number 11, you've got her as 10, so you've probably done a better job than me.
Got a password that allows me to get to a certain place that I can't get to.
So Shannon Matthews, a chance for Swan's first goal. The windsock on the far side of the ground tells us that this ball should swing hard from left to right. As she lines it up, makes decent contact, it starts to drift right and it misses. So behind only, Swan's first score of the game. We're into the second half of this first quarter. It's been hard work so far, Hayley, for Swans to get any genuine attempts on goal.
Yeah, I think East Freo were lucky there. Those 50-metre penalties can really cost you, but obviously up here it's nice. You don't realise how windy it is until, yeah, you said about the wind, so I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty windy out there still. So that was a tough kick.
Notice that the wind blowing from your commentary duties to the Sunday session you're attending later on today.
Absolutely not.
Say good day to Trent and Darren Fry. It's easing. Bianca Webb, the pressure on the Sharks defenders as they try to exit this area. No one's successful in doing that. A little ball up. Of course, be hitting Steam Broccoli and Sonia Perez, I imagine, as you build up towards the AFLW season. A rolling maul at the moment. See more and more of this, although bathed in sunshine at the moment, the ground. See how long that lasts. Probably makes them help make the ball slipperier than it was before. Impressed by Matthews and Bombinieri. Bombinieri in the ruck now. It's East Fremantle with the takeaway. Intercepting mark is very neat. Taken by Holwood. Holwood, young player, has played on the wing a couple of times this season we've seen. She puts the ball deep inside 50. East Fremantle well set up for this. Boucher can't quite hold on with the pressure. More of a bounce around, another ball in. The ball up, I should say. Just a little messy at the moment, just as the teams feel each other away. Swans seem to have set up a decent perimeter. East Fremantle just struggling to just get control of the ball at the moment.
So the ball on the deck to be won here. Bombarderi picks it up and is tackled immediately by Tinson. No one able to break away from these repeat stoppages just yet. Holston in the ruck. Comes out to Davison. Dangerous in this situation. Hooks it back to the goal square. Boucher getting back. Williams with a big fist. Oh, trying to hack it out of mid-air. Stripley. But it was touched on the line. What an acrobatic effort that would be. Saw a goal not so long ago in the AFL. I think it was Tim Membry that just managed to get a boot in front of someone else's hand and got it through. Stripley was trying to do the same. So Swans with the second behind. And they've owned this football for a little while now. They've got it locked inside their 50. Now comes out through the soccer kick of Inglis Hodge. Coming through and picking it up was Ashley Gomes. She's brought to ground. Umpire will ball it up. A tackle from Maguire. Led the Swans out today. Alston to ruck against Bombarderi, who comes over the top and wins it. Gomes with the clearing kick. It's all Swans though. Holwell gets down low to pick this one up. She's sandwiched between a couple of Sharks, and the tackle just slipping a little bit high. Holwell with the free kick. Straight down the ground, skids past the players. Boucher at the back couldn't handle it. Now they're piling on top. We'll see another ball up, but Harley, this ball is tough to clear from defence once you've got your team set up well behind the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, with the sun being out for this, you sort of want to capitalise on these opportunities before it gets super slippery again when the rain comes in. But they're crashing through puddles at the moment.
Good one-on-one win by Osborne there because the Sharkies like to get out the back and it flew to foot. Trying to get out the back again. It's Emma Nannett. WA Sullivan's going to cause her a problem. Just shoves her in the side away. Now they are at the back. They've got some runners. It's Spark, long way from goal. It's Rosie Walsh. Amy Ralph, foot race. Amy Ralph's just got a bit clearer there from Walsh. Amy has a chance to just kick off the ground too. It's Curry. She's set upon and stealing it out of her pocket was Holwell. She tries to find Grzowski, who can't quite finish the catch. She's got a problem now. Tinson's got the footy at the top of 50. Tumbles the ball forward, tries to connect with the chest. Ralph in the way. Sparks pretty good in this situation usually. Ralph, a good defender, is able to stay alive in this contest. Shovel back by Walsh, a good idea. Curry goes off the ground and just a little close to a set of hands there. And it's Gelmy keeps all 10 fingers and gets a free kick. Looking to the far side. Come down the line eventually. favours Tinson. Michaela Hyde does well to get first. Maddie Ross, and Hyde tackles her into the mud.
Gabby O'Sullivan was just limping behind play just before. That's not what I want to see, but it looks like might have just been a corky. She's managed to run it off, thank God.
I'm not going to ask Gabby O'Sullivan to take it easy in a game of football. It'd be as hard as asking Hayley Miller to take it easy. Her efforts last week. Played a beautiful brand of footy like you always do. Gabby O'Sullivan very similar, charging through. It's Cox. Gets this out to Nanit. Nanit with a clearing kick, looking for outlet. She's got some representation there. Bowie spulls it back into neat work. Gets it to Ross, back to Bowie. She'll go long. That's a nice kick to a good area. First their hole, playing defensive wing in a very smart manner. She looks at the centre of the ground. The kick does favour Osborne. Foot race though. Gomes and Osborne. Osborne happy to concede a bit of sideways to the grass. Gomes starts to put the pressure on her. Backfeeding again, as Hayley Miller spoke about a couple of times now. It's okay. Fremantle will look to have the goods on the far side at the moment in terms of defence, and I think both teams will be happy with the ball in left centre wing.
How did the body pull up after the first game, Hayley, last week?
I was very sore, actually.
It's nothing. You can't prepare for it, can you?
It's nothing like you can train as hard as you like, but actually playing a game, just that tackle pressure and, stop, start, all that sort of thing, it's, very different.
And better this week?
Yeah, I was a lot better this week. Well, luckily for us, it was in our forward line for the majority of the game yesterday, which was nice. So it was a little bit less running, a little bit less taxing on the body.
That game, there was no shortage of contested ball wins for yourself, though.
Thanks.
There was a lot of contested ball wins against the Swans here the week before, of course. And when you're a contested ball player, you tend to pick up a few niggles here and there.
Shucks towards half forward through Slicer. Maguire waiting down, roves it well. Always enjoy watching her kick a football, and that's a superb kick. Morrison takes the mark. It's a big win for Subi yesterday against South Fremantle, 14-11 to 2-2. And it's quarter time here. Just the one goal in the first quarter. Tough conditions. Very wet underfoot. A number of puddles around Steel Blue Oval. So tough for the players out there to get any clean passages of play together. East Fremantle did manage to get one, and that was ending in a goal to Chloe Riley, the only goal of the game in the first term. So East Fremantle 1-1 lead Swans 2 behinds. It's quarter time here at Steel Blue Oval. Back with all the action from the second quarter after these messages.
It's a high ball.
Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her, just maybe for a while. You're a little leaf in a fertile land. Well, I feel that day.
All the great teams have many things in common. That ability to deliver when it counts. That certain style about the way they do things. That ongoing quest to be the best. And at Kia, that team mantra is everything. We're proud to support the WAFL and proud to offer Australia's best 7-year warranty. Because with Kia, we've got your back.
It might have been.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
We're at Steel Blue Oval for Swans and East Fremantle. It's the grand final replay from last year. On that occasion, East Fremantle were too good, winning by 23 points, and they lead today at quarter time by 5 points, 1-1-7 to 2 behinds in very heavy conditions. Fortunately, though, the rain has mostly stayed away during the opening stages of this game, as we can see the Sharks breaking up into their 3 lines and listening to their assistants go through a few messages. The only goal of the game through the boot of young Chloe Riley, who converted nicely from about 30 out directly in front. And it's been limited opportunities really in terms of shots on goal from both sides. Swan Districts also getting their instructions from their team, their defensive group there just discussing what happened in the first term. And here is what happened in the first term. As I said, the only goal of the game to Chloe Riley, Dave Lindsay, Clint Degerod and Hayley Miller, your commentary team here this afternoon. And Hayley, it's a pretty tough quarter. Really, neither team able to stamp their authority on the game, but the conditions really probably won't allow for much of that throughout the entire day.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a bit of that today, just that scrappy in and under footy and a lot of stoppages. But I think East Ferry probably had the upper hand overall in that quarter, but there was some good passages to play for Swan. So if it can continue like that, it'll shape up to be a really good contest.
The Swans' defence had a lot of work to do early on. You mentioned the very experienced Lauren Osborne back there in defence, who tends to act as a bit of a general across that back line. You must have been fairly impressed with the work that they did to hold on while Fremantle were really pushing hard in the early stages.
Yeah, absolutely. She reads the play really well, Lauren. So yeah, she's always there at the drop of the footy. So they probably need to lower their eyes and hit up a target instead of bombing it long. Otherwise, you're gonna find that those sort of players that drop off will find the footy.
Inside here at the Swan District's huddle, Black and Whites listening intently to their coaching staff as they found a little patch of grass down their decks somehow in between the different puddles in that area.
Little sandbar.
Yeah.
Yes, Joe Taylor leading the group down there. Jake and Kristen Nelson as well. Good group of educators. We'll just be probably, I'd say, suggesting that had enough of the ball inside their forward half and probably inside their forward 50 to put a bit more pressure on East Fremantle. Just didn't get the ball to 35 metres out directly in front at any stage, apart from the shot from Shannon Matthews, who, as you both pointed out, were kicking into a sideways gale. So that was obviously pulled towards the wind, but went to that spot on the ground and it was their best shot. Most of the rest of the time they were out in the pocket. So I'd say a bit of direct footy from Joe. Yeah,
you're going to need to get it really, really close to the goals. So you want to be 15, 20, no more than that probably in this wind, especially kicking towards that end of the ground. Otherwise, it's going to be a really tough kick.
East Fremantle huddle as well inside. Gabby O'Sullivan likes to position herself front and centre, right in front of the coach, and taking in all the messages. Kate English Hodge a bit more interested in having a little chat to someone off to the side. Bit of a smile and a wave. Hopefully she's already taken the messages in that she needs to for that. And I reckon we're getting some camera shots here from Matt here at front row screen.
He's on the phone.
Look at him go.
Using a mobile phone to take close-up pics. It's quality coverage and it's getting better every week. I'm really enjoying this whole thing.
I just hope he doesn't drown on the way back up, because there's, as I say, a couple of deep puddles for him to negotiate before he gets back to the truck at the back.
He's got a pro good footwear though.
He does. He's got the work boots on.
He's got
I think they're steel blues, aren't they?
Yeah, he's wearing steel blue Wellington boots.
Yeah.
Bit of duck in there too. Big pair of shoes. Sharks break early. Be pretty comfortable with the way they attempted to use the ball. I reckon Webbo would probably just been talking about just probably a bit more kick and catch through the middle of the box, and obviously some surge football as well if they have to. So surge under pressure and sideways connects to use their running games. Interestingly, Gabby O'Sullivan is going forward, which is going to cause even more problems for the Swans. So Sparks, Riley, Curry, O'Sullivan and Walsh. It's a decent front five.
I think both teams need to capitalise on this weather. Well, it's not raining at the moment, so if they can sort of hit up those leads and get their ball movement going a little bit cleaner, I think whichever team can do that whilst it's not raining, they'll see the rewards from that.
Just having a laugh as the five Swans defenders all attempted to walk past Gabby O'Sullivan, and eventually Eliza Gelmy was the one that got stuck with the running dynamo from East Fremantle and the Fremantle Footy Club.
Just a quick look at the radar as well. There's plenty more rain on its way, so yes, I think the teams need to make the most of these relatively dry conditions that we've got at the moment. Attacking that ruck contest was Wheelstrup. Her fist forward was blocked. Didn't gain as much ground as she might have liked. Spills out the side to Slisher, who stands and lets rip with the torpedo. Along towards the attacking 50, attacking it hard. In the opposite direction, Maguire sends a 20-metre left-handed hand pass forward. What skill she does have. Hyde uses the ball well. Finds Anderson. Little chip down the line. Just misses Davison. Blocked by the boot of Tinson. She allows herself in the end to be shoved over by Matthews. I think she's happy enough to find the safety of the boundary.
Players have successfully pushed Trent Tinson somewhere where she didn't want to go.
You'd like to see Emily Maguire get 20, 25 possessions one day and really tear a game apart. The way she uses the football outstanding. Just always want a little bit more when you see players in that sort of, with those sort of skills. Ball not coming out of that pack. Umpires, I'm not sure they called for nominations there, but the Rucks were ready to put their hand up like front row of the school class. Timpson just hacks it forward, coming the opposite direction and blocking it was Cripps, and accidentally shins it forward about 30 metres. Webb will be first there. O'Sullivan comes across quickly to close her down. Webb happy to paddle it down the line, and then in comes Bowie just to help it over. And Hayley Miller's with us. You would have been looking at that contest with some interest there. A couple of your Freo teammates. I think they just pulled up in time before one of them took the other one out.
Yeah, I wondered if Gabby was going to go at full pelt there. She did. She definitely did take a step back, so that's nice to see. She's looking after a teammate.
School teacher in her as well, just making sure that all the young people are okay. That's well straight out of the ruck towards Davison, who takes a very neat catch overhead, taking opportunity to handle this dry ball at the start of the quarter. So Gillard stands the mark. And some outstanding 1980s calisthenics trying to put off Wong's feeds back towards Inglis Hodge. Inglis Hodge's loose ball is missed by Osborne. Chloe Riley, not a neat little kick forward. Maguire with one hand almost. Curry takes it off her. And now we're in the puddles. Shoveled out towards O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan being careful to control this ball, which she's done it really neatly here. And what would have been a turnover. Still might be now. The umpire says, yep, you jumped on it and didn't try to release it, Olivia Cripps and Gabby O'Sullivan.
Gabby did that very well.
Yeah, she
very
just hooked it under. She puts it in the path of Riley too. This is a neat kick. Inside, outside, right foot. It's a style of kick I like from the young players. Made famous by Trent Cooper of the Dockers. Swan's trying to defend this ball, and they do enough to get a ball in. Good tidy work from O'Sullivan. And Cripps has the pleasure of being trapped by someone she probably looks up to a little bit. It's a great opportunity for these young players to be playing out there with the AFLW. So thanks to both West Coast Eagles and Fremantle Footy Club for making some of their players available, because it's just such a great way for these young players to get better. Schleiser, speaking of good players, Webb, another one. Very high, just held off it. Webb trying to charge through, eventually tackled without it because players, as they should be, worried about her speed. Although Trina Tinson, the Hurricane, no slash in the foot race stakes. Webb looked to have the run of it there. Ishmael was set up well behind this ball. Webb drops the ball over the back, looking for Brianna Hyde. She's pulled off the ball by Bowie, who had no interest in chasing a young player around. Riley's favoured by the surge kick forward. She just contemplates taking it out. She decides to keep it in. It's a good kick in towards Curry again. She throws it out the back into the Conjurer's trick. Ends up with Lauren Osborne, who, like a conjurer, accidentally fumbles this ball out of bounds and gets thrown.
Some old pros out there. You could see Kimberly Bowie just pulling on the opposite side of the jumper to where the umpire was. We had a perfect view. The umpire didn't. And of course, we mentioned that O'Sullivan, the work she did to actually drag the ball underneath her opponent and earn herself a free kick. So some experience showing out for the Sharks. He's a young Shark in Bird, tackled to ground by Maguire. O'Sullivan bundled over this time by Anderson, and Maguire gets the clearing kick away. Davison in the air again. Not paid the mark, but she took it away anyhow. Long clearing kick. Inglis Hodge trying to mark in the hands. Tough to do in the slippery conditions. Groskowski there, so to Matthews. She goes to ground. Hyde picks it up and then gives it back to Groskowski. Long towards Boucher. Has two to beat. Gets over the back of Gillard. Williams is there to help. Gillard provides the shepherd. Williams does well. Clean below the knees to collect that one. Way to Gomes. Squeezed up with her left boot. Does okay. Gains some ground. Alston knocked off the footy. Got a hand pass from Prentice through to Slicer, and now Wong. Little chip pass, and Riley. She has some very clean hands today. And the kick is superb. It's really opened out. 2-on-1 up forward. Spark takes the mark. Walsh breaking back towards goal. The kick goes in her direction. Under pressure from Ralph. Closed quickly, but so good, Walsh. Fantastic pickup, and the celebration not bad as well as she sprawled across the ground. That was great footy from Fremantle. The mark taken by Riley was crucial, and then they had spare players forward. Walsh might have hurt herself here in kicking that goal. She's a bit sore. But Hayley Miller, that's probably the passage of the day so far. Yeah, that was a great build-up. You know, there was a left foot kick all the way sort of at half back, and that probably started it off. And there was a few good, and then the switch to the top of the 50 was exactly where you wanted it to go. And then obviously the peel off and finish at the end was fantastic.
Rosie is pushing Philippa Seth away. Philippa Seth, another Fremantle player, also a physiotherapist, is trying to convince Rosie to come and have an assessment, but while she's trying to push away, meanwhile Alston and Wellstra, second tap's a good one, puts it in front of Cox, but it's Wong first. Wong just stands still, Pack goes past, but Cox ends up with the football. Good kick towards Davison, who's been busy, providing some trap, providing some real target, or at least some energy around the ball. Krasiowski back in the hands of Davison, who's immediately tackled and eventually set upon by most people. Now Rosie Walsh is being helped from the ground now. Hopefully a stinger. Some trouble with that ankle, derailed an 18 season and most of last year as well. So let's just get her off, get her strapped up and get her back out. Wonderful young talent for the Sharks. 50 metres out from goal, Swan's end, the shallow end. Wellstra can't get a hand on that one. Ball in dispute again. Picking us up off the ground was Cox. Either had it or didn't have it. Bouncing around now, no clear pathway to goal. It's Holwell. Let's just have a look behind the stoppage. There's a couple of interesting things going on. Players sliding in the backs and in the legs and knees. It's all a bit of a concern. Rosie's under her own power now. That's Walsh. We've got a reset. A couple of degrees around to the far side of the ground. Same spot. 45 metres out. It's in the hands of Cox and Wong again. Must be going together, those two today. At least I imagine Cox would be following Wong around. All shin forward. Messy on the far side. Players and numbers probably starting to think about a whistle, maybe a free kick to break up play.
It's definitely stuck over in that portion of the ground. The breeze blowing hard across to the outer side today, so plenty of action on that far side. Anderson throws that one away. Umpire spotted it as well. Our camera work had it covered.
I think it was a very good little tackle from the East Fremantle player to grab her other hand as she went to handball the ball through.
So East Fremantle with the free kick. It'll be taken by Prentice. Kicks down the line to a skipper. Tinson couldn't handle that one, and it rebounds off her chest and over the line for a boundary throw-in. Beneath the light tower that just has one light shining, Degs. It's always interesting. Not sure what's going on with those light towers over there. There's one light tower that has one light working. The other one's got about 3 working. Both have about 6 available if needed, but
I was looking for aircraft because that's pointed to the sky. That light over there. Highly roosted possums, perhaps.
And the ball up again. This ball going nowhere.
It's probably time to get some more insight about Dale Alcock's house.
Yeah, well, got good feedback on that one last week. We might ask Haley about that in a moment. We'll see whether maybe Swans can make something of this. It'll be free kick to Slisher. No, she wasn't held without it. Umpire let that one go. We did ask Juddy last week about the best and fairest at Dale's place. Apparently, you got to see about 10% of the mansion, and it was still big enough for a massive party.
Yeah, it was. He does have a nice house, as you'd expect, being the Dale Alcock.
There's no excuses, is there? If
No.
you're the main builder in town, you might as well build yourself the best place you can.
Yeah.
Mechanics usually have a rundown car.
True. And hairdressers don't often have the best hairstyles either, do they? So
Teachers have the naughtiest kids.
But Dale's obviously looked after himself, and why wouldn't you? As they do go forward now, East Fremantle, but Ralph in front of Bowie, ran the circle well, cleared the area, comes off hands, and would come straight back. Tinson almost dragged down, hurry kick forward, and Ralph's there again. Ralph and Osborne, they're so competitive down there in defence, they don't let much get past them. They've had a bit of work to do here today. The kick towards Anderson, who probably gave herself away there. Might have been paid the mark if she had have claimed it. Wanted to give it away too quickly. And Bird gets in the way now for East Fremantle. The Sharks go wide. O'Sullivan just inside the line. Has Nanit in behind her, now standing the mark. Working her way into the game in her first match for this season. Won the best on ground medal in the grand final last year. A superb performance. Free kick to Ralph again, and Swans can relieve from the back pocket.
Hands of Ralph. Ralph is actually a lot quicker than people realise. She keeps her in contest longer. It's a decent kick looking to the outlet. Swans have plenty of numbers, but Bowie's causing some issues at ground level. So that's Marnie Alston.
Would have liked to have seen Swans do their switch and go in that situation. They've just bombed it back to where it came from. It would have been really good to see them use the width of the ground and come down the other side.
Anxiety building perhaps with these repeat entries for both teams. It's Holwell diving in. Webb off the ground. Davison's placed herself ahead of the ball really well today. Can't quite get that one up off the ground. She's invited some Sharks to come in and attack. And they do. Tinson looks to see this ball out of line, but it's a nice foot by Cole down towards Boucher. Can't quite get a hold of this one either. The tackle pressure's okay. Both rolling around the ball. They're trying to show the umpire that they're trying to get rid of it. Umpire gives them the benefit of the doubt and throw it up. Boucher connects with that one. It's probably allows the Swans to really overlap. That's okay. Overrunning the ball then was Morrison. She goes back in, puts some body pressure on. Tara Stribley at the coalface, pushing and shoving. We're going to do it again.
Nara Anderson there just came off holding her ribs. She's obviously been down at Fremantle and doing a little bit of I guess as a train on last year or start of this year, and she really impressed me with her training and the way that she uses the ball. She's a really great young player, but hopefully she's okay.
Boucher connected. Kick was okay towards Matthews, but read it like an open book was Maddie Gazza-Ross. The ball's now transferred through the box. It's in the hands of Tinson, who's trying to go at the back. This will suit Ralph. Ralph's got some toe. Sparks under pressure. Osborne supporting. Pulls around the corner, looking for her skipper, Maguire. Doesn't quite get the ball. Tries for Gabby O'Sullivan. Gabby O'Sullivan is kicking the ball on the boundary line. Beautiful shove from Bowie. Got rid of Osborne to buy herself some time. The handball missed. It's in the hands of the defensive winger in Holwell. Holwell comes back out the same side, and Stribley does enough to get this on the chest. Lots of Sharks ahead of this ball. It's a neat kick out in the front of Sinead Davison, who's good enough to mark it in the puddle on the wing. Games with her. Davison's been good. She's lifted her work rate today, and over the last couple of weeks, this slips off the side of the boot. It goes out of bounds in the full, just as they were starting to look like they were going to build. It's in the hands of Norrish. Plays on quickly for Riley. Waiting behind was Maguire. Riley's too clean for that. She wheels around, goes long, gets a little love bump from the Swan skipper. Spends a bit more time in the mud. Well, Sparks and Bowie. Oh, Bowie clever to Sparks. Pulls it across, and Amy Ralph very timely smother. I think Swans might have had the centre covered, but it was looking good. Kick from Bombardiri doesn't go very far at all. It's in the hands of Bowie. Can't quite get it. He gets towards Sullivan. Sullivan has a flying shot. It's going to fall on the chest of a Sharks player in Burton. And Burton is in the right place to kick at goal with this terrible wind at the wrong end. Just to start this at the far left goal post. And the wind will bring it back in. Although the boundary goal up, the field umpire there, sorry. It's just pulled Burton right around on an angle now. Deliberate approach. She's thought herself through this. Pops it up. It's a bit too much of the wind. Spark can't mark it. Webb gets that over the line. Maguire will reset.
6 minutes to go in the quarter. Maguire on kicking duties. Breaks out of the goal square and then bangs it as far as she can. 2-on-2 contest. Socked forward by Ross. She might sock her again. No, she goes to pick up the ground ball. Webb gets in the way, hooks it around the corner. This one might go out. Was it touched? Umpire wants to... No, he's gone the lasso move. It's going to be a free kick going the way of East Fremantle. So the Sharks taking their turn to own the football at the moment. Gomes with the kick. Back to a pack. In from the side, crashing through was Ralph. Had probably the first bite and the third bite of that one, so mark not paid. Good tackle from Davison. She'll get the free kick. She's been impressive so far, Hayley. Some good overhead work from her and also fighting hard at ground level.
Yeah, I saw a mark she took a couple of weeks back. It was incredible. I don't think I've actually seen anyone at WAFLW level sort of do that. That was a really big hit there for East Freo. Hopefully she's okay.
Bird caught one there.
But yeah, Sinead Davison has been really, really promising in this first half. Some aerials, good aerials.
You mentioned before we started the broadcast off air that you're starting to find it hard to identify players out there on the field because there's so many youngsters coming through. You must be impressed with the talent that's coming through in all the teams. Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago, you knew exactly who was on each team and who was going to line up every week. But yeah, it's a sort of... Yeah, it's a lottery really these days. It could be any number of players that take the field and a lot of new talent, and it's good to watch them come through this, and hopefully we'll see a fair few of them roll through AFLW level as well. There's no doubt we will. We mentioned with Juddy last week that they actually have an impact at this time of the year as well, while the AFLW players are just finding their feet and getting their match fitness up, which is really good to see, learning lots, and hopefully for most of them they can retain their spot in the teams as the AFLW players come back as well. Good to see Bird has recovered from that very heavy knock she took. I think she took one to the back of the head and then landed very heavily as well. She's a feisty character. Doesn't mind a bit of contact and a bit of a contest. Through comes Michaela Hyde. Nice fend off. Just bought herself some time. Hooks the kick around the body. One-handed pick up from Ross, but now she's got problems. Boucher's got hurt. Should have been holding the ball. Good tackle from Gillard. She'll finish her off here. Throws her over the boundary, and it's a sling tackle. Just didn't need to put that final part of the action into the tackle on that occasion.
Rugby sevens player.
Yeah.
And they're trying to eradicate that these days. You just can't do it anymore.
Did the work with the tackle initially, and then wanted to dump her in a puddle. Nicely taken by Anderson. Kick goes straight up and down on the spot. Norrish comes through. Fierce attack on the football. Puts the fist into it. Ralph is there. The hand pass to a play, and Strictly was already covered. Great tackle from Norrish. The umpire from out of the zone says her opponent didn't have the football.
Might have been in the back too. When you get up with mud in your mouth, it's a fair indication that you've been carried forward in the tackle.
So Ralph has been involved in a number of contests this quarter. Just pokes a kick over the par on the mark. Wheelstra couldn't hang on to the chest mark. At the back is Bree Hyde. Gets it towards Matthews. She's taken high, or did she duck? The umpire will penalise her holding the ball. Perhaps just turn back into that tackle of Plushke, and Plushke will get the free kick.
Plushke's been very shark-like at half-back. Every time she's got a chance to wrap something up, she's done it. Got it out to Bird. Missed Elston with a handball. Elston now tackles. Bree Hyde to the ground without the ball. Rough stuff. Davison on a lead again. Looking good. Gillard checking her pretty closely. Ball drops over to Michaela Hyde. Can she complete the catch? She can. Now the Swans are on. Plenty going in front. Rosowski leads to the pocket. Staying still's Anderson. She's jumped on from behind, and the umpire sees it that way too. Unrealistic attempt. Just for a moment, it looked like Prentice was going to be able to take a hang in the back of the square. She just jumped early, as you can see on the replay, and Anderson held her ground nicely. You can't take a screamer unless you actually have a crack, so good on you. Nora Anderson, usually pretty good in this situation. Wind will assist it a little. Push it across to the left of screen. She keeps it low and sticks it in nicely. Well, Nora Anderson, good ball movement from the Swans. Hayley put a heap of pressure on the East Rail defence, but with a bit more speed on the ball.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that didn't get touched on the line. It went through at about chest height, but like I said, look, Naira's got some great skills on her and would have picked the spot and put it through. But great build up and a couple of kicks there and then hitting her up in the forward line. Unfortunately, yes, like you said, if you want to take a hanger, you do have to give it a crack. But unfortunately, that one a little bit too unrealistic.
Terrific from Grozowski to pull the defender out wide with that lead. Great decision from McCutcheon not to honour that one, but to go a bit straighter.
Some great chat there on screen between Anderson and Paisley, just discussing the whole contest. Both with smiles on their faces. We've got a real contest on here. Still a minute to go before half time. Just a goal the difference, so this last 60 seconds could be critical. Back in the middle. Wilstra with the tap, socked by Slicer towards half forward. Riley gets rid of her opponent. At the back is Wong. Gains another 20 metres. Unable to take it cleanly was Burton. He's got Nanette applying the pressure. Burton continues to make ground. Keeps it inside the boundary. Hooks it goalward. Spark used the body well. Riley keeps it alive with the soccer kick. Maguire kills the contest. Carries it over for a behind. And that might be about where we finish for this quarter. Maguire will take as much time as she can with his kicking. And then you would imagine will kick for distance and try to clear the area. She stabs a pass. It's used well towards Michaela Hyde. Couldn't hang on. Ross is tackled. Ball spills free. Ross might get a second attempt. The siren will beat her. So a good contest again in the second quarter. Both teams kicking a goal. Rosie Walsh early in the turn before going off what appeared to be an injury to her lower leg. And then Naira Anderson with the late goal to bring things to a 7-point margin as it is now at half time. 2-3-15 East Fremantle leads Swan Districts 1-8. As Brianna Hyde comes towards the boundary for half time, and the Sharks reasonably content with their first half effort. In these conditions, it's always going to be a tough slog, and we weren't expecting a high scoring blowout contest today. Not with two teams that have been struggling a little bit for form and desperate for a win. And the conditions are going to keep things nice and tight as well. So at half-time, it is the Sharks by 7 points. We'll be back with some half-time chat after these messages.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
The V6 twin turbo rear wheel drive Kia Stinger. It took 7 years to create and 4.9 seconds to understand why.
Hey darling, so I was thinking maybe we could all go out for dinner.
I wish, but I need to finish this prezzo.
Oh, that's cool, I'll just take the kids. Okay, alright, bye. Thank you. Wait, can I get
Champagne soup?
Yeah.
Bring your family together.
what?
New Optus Family Plan includes 4 SIMs and the McAfee Safe Family app.
Welcome back to Steel Blue Oval, where it is half-time. A very wet Bassendean. As we look around the ground, you can see a number of puddles, lots of mud out there as well. Great day to be in the commentary box. And that's where you'll find Dave Lindsay, Clint Degerock and Hayley Miller. Much better to be up here today, Hayley, than out on the ground, although I imagine Leaderville would have been fairly heavy yesterday.
No, it's not. It
Not too
wasn't too bad. The weather hadn't come in yet, so we were pretty lucky. I'm glad we played yesterday and not today. Looks a bit gloomy out there.
Well, that puddle's fairly deep as we pan away from the puddle. It was hard work for both teams in the first half. East Fremantle kicked the first 2 goals of the game. Swans with a goal late in the term to bring the margin back to 7 points as we watched some of the highlights in the second quarter, and it was, not surprisingly, Hayley, another arm wrestle. Both teams probably able to hold the ball in their attacking half for 5 or 6 minutes at a time, but finding it pretty hard to generate a real shot on goal.
Yeah, it was better from Swans that quarter, I felt. Their ball movement was better. They're holding in the contest really well, and look, they were good to stop that last play coming into their back line. It would have been pretty painful to get a really late score. So with 7 points, you know, you could go either way. You got to see which team's going to come out fighting in that third quarter.
Harvey Cole on the screen. He's had a little bit to do again today. She was quite impressive last week, Degs, at times. I think played a pretty solid game of Waffle women's footy last week, and today getting involved again.
And identified quite a number of years ago. Some trials and tribulations to get where she is today, but she's starting to show the type of ability that everyone thought she was capable of, and she looks absolutely at home in the league side at the Swan District. So Swan Districts have pulled out another beauty. I think Olivia Cripps is doing a pretty good job down back there, considering how young she is too, and we're just starting to see Shanae Davison blossom before our eyes as a 19-year-old. Got a couple of good youngsters down at Swan District's town. You can see her now just tripping along. Fantastic. Speaking of young stars, Rosie Walsh, very good, 187 and a bit centimetres tall below her knees, completing a very good Rovers goal before she just got a bit of a stinger. We saw her walking around down there before. It was okay. Oh, just hark right back to Dara Wilcock. There's something we haven't discussed yet, and it is the players, female players, and obviously the coaches and the group decided that they would do their own awards. They were thinking of Zoom, they were thinking of a quiet thing. The Fremantle board heard this and said, no, not good enough for our girls, and put on a show. So that's probably something that hasn't been highlighted about the whole experience. Was the board decided the girls needed a lot more attention and respect than they were prepared to give themselves. So
yeah, well, it was a tough time because we didn't know whether we were going to be able to hold an event of sorts. So it did end up going through the board, and they sort of organised it off their own back. It was you know, with all the budget cuts and things going on, they couldn't really be seen as a club to be spending on a big event. We obviously knew that, and that's absolutely fair enough. But it was amazing. Like Dale's support for the women's program has always been sort of top notch. So it was fitting to have it at his house, and there was a fair few board members actually there at the event as well. And speaking to them, they're all super proud of obviously what we've been able to do over the last couple of years and what we're building towards. So it's great for them to get on board with what we're doing.
We might pick your brain on that a little bit later as well throughout the rest of our broadcast here today, because it just seems things at Fremantle, particularly on the women's side of things, just get better and better every year as that women's program gets fully embedded into the club. But it's time for us to take a little bit of a package here thanks to Optus and the Sunday Times. The local footy club heroes will be honoured with the 2020 Optus Volunteer of the Year Awards. Everyone's encouraged to nominate a volunteer at thankavolunteer.com.au, and there are great prizes on offer, including premium tickets to see an AFL match at Optus Stadium and a technology prize pack from Optus. Last year's major award was taken out by John Sobolewski from Sorrento Duncraig Junior Footy Club. Let's take a closer look at his story.
I'm generally here about 6:30 in the morning. I'm here Saturday mornings for Auskick and also for a lot of the day on a Sunday, making sure that everything gets set up properly because there's a bit to do. And then with the extra hours we do, you know, just administrating the club. I never actually counted it up, but I'd expect that I'd do 20 to 30 hours a week. I don't think I really fathomed how much work it would be, but I've loved every minute of it. This is my third year as president. I started volunteering at Sorrento Duncraig in 2013 when my son started at the club in Auskick.
He's marvellous, he really is. Over the last 3 years he's turned this club around in major ways. He's made it more aware that all players, whatever their abilities, are valued at our club. You know, it doesn't matter if you're the best player on ground every week or whether you're somebody who barely touches the ball. You are so important to our club, and we love the fact that you want to keep playing footy with us.
I think we're the largest junior football club in WA and if not one of the largest junior football clubs in Australia. We've exceeded 1,000 members this year. Hey Russ, how you going? Yeah, good. Without everyone doing their bit and pitching in, then the season just can't go ahead.
Volunteers are absolutely the backbone of any sporting club, and people think they need to give us thousands of man hours, but really if everybody gave us half an hour, a fortnight, a month, it would just help take the load off the people at the top that start all this stuff.
It's great that Optus and the Sunday Times support these awards because it really shows gratitude to the people that make this such a great game.
As the largest club in the Northern Districts, we would absolutely struggle if there weren't people here day in, day out, doing the small jobs, doing the big jobs, doing everything that needs doing around the club.
Obviously girls football is an area that we want to grow. I'm looking at setting up an inclusion program next year, so there's various areas that we think we can help the community out in.
Yes, he is a deserving winner, as anybody who wins it is going to be.
Winning the Optus WA Football Volunteer of the Year is a tremendous honour, and makes me really proud to be part of such a great club. Playing well. Good goal. I do it for the club and I do it for the love of the game, but I'd say the main reason I do it is because I've got an 11-year-old son who says to me that he's going to be the president one day. And so that's why I do it.
WA Football Volunteer of the Year, and fantastic from John and every one of the volunteers out there running the footy. And that competition, coordinated and run by Taylor Danielle at the WA Footy Commission, Degs, and I reckon today is the sort of day that she could have 3 or 4 blankets on. I reckon it's the 3 or 4 blanket day for Taylor.
It's right now, she's got a Snuggie.
Yep.
Uggs, some baggy tracks and 3 blankets, and if she hasn't got a 4th blanket, she's got one folded nearby.
Just over the lap?
One. She's definitely got 3 on her.
Yep.
But there's also a 4th as well. So ask me that question without notice about 3 or 4 blankets. I'd say 3, but the 4th would be close by.
And the heater's on as well.
Heater's on as well, and the fire is burning.
And this is why you would need that, because the weather is feral out here today. The breeze very strong. It's probably is getting close to that 50 kilometres per hour. The windsock on the far side of the ground is pointing sideways, and the forecast maximum high 18 degrees. It's nowhere near that at the moment. And yes, 100% chance of rain. It's certainly rained today, and it will rain again before the end of the day, looking at the clouds that are around here as well. The weather brought to you by Front Row Screens. They do a fantastic job putting this broadcast together each and every week. We've still got a half a footy to go here. East Fremantle lead it by 7 points at half time. Can't wait for the third term.
The V6 twin turbo rear-wheel drive Kia Stinger. It took 7 years to create and 4.9 seconds to understand why.
Oh, sorry. It's funny.
Dad!
Party purpose.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
We're here at Steel Blue Oval. The Swan Districts are taking on East Fremantle, and the Black and Whites are heading back out onto the field. They trail by 7 points at half time. East Fremantle already out on the oval going through their warm-up. Great pictures, so they get ready for the third quarter. I think it's Matt down there again, is it, with his mobile phone?
Taking things to the new level. Front Row Screens, Matty. A little bit of attention to Front Row Screens from our friends at Rookie Me.
Yeah.
Starting to interview players week to week. It was Michaela Morrison this week. We've told Michaela Morrison she's going to blow up her GPS. She was interviewed this week. Sinead Davison last week. Of course, they're going to start getting in contact with the coaches too. Likely the winning coach of the televised or the live streamed game each week. So Swans go through their initial paces. They know every puddle on this ground, and they've avoided all puddles in that little track.
Hayley Miller's with us from Fremantle's AFLW program, and also Subiaco, of course, winners yesterday. Hayley, we were talking before the break about Fremantle's AFLW program and mentioned that just every year it just seems to be tweaked slightly to improve it even more, and you were talking there about just the investment that the board wanted to put into a celebration for the work that was done throughout the season and reward the girls for the amazing year they had. It must be a great place to be at the moment.
Yeah, I think every year it gets better, and the way that they sort of manage it has gotten better. You've got Peter Bell down there and Joe Bridie. They're both incredibly invested in a women's program, and they're there every week that they can when we're playing, and they're very known faces around the women's program, and that's when you know there's something right at the club, when people a little bit higher are taking that time to invest in your program and invest in individual players as well. It's really, really nice.
So you re-signed during the week alongside Mim and also Roxy, and I understand there's some more re-signings to come. All the girls are either negotiating at the moment or waiting patiently for the phone call.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to too many of the ones that haven't actually signed on yet, but look, I'm hoping that most of them will stay together, and we can build on what we've got.
Hayley signed at 10:01, is that right? As soon as the piece of paper was put in front of her, I reckon you're probably right.
It wasn't about how quick Hayley was to sign, it was how quick that Fremantle got to
Hayley's
place. How quickly they got to Hayley's place.
Sure they would have. But
no, don't have to confirm any of that. We can just all pretend that it didn't happen.
I imagine it's the sort of place that most players are pretty keen to sign up just at the moment with the season that was produced by Fremantle. Of course, it didn't finish the way that anyone in the competition wanted it to finish, the way that things were shut down, of course, with coronavirus hitting just at the wrong time, and controversy as to whether you should be named the winners, being the team with a perfect record at that time of the year, or maybe squeeze a grand final in. But
yeah, I was actually talking to Paris Laurie of West Coast yesterday, and she seems to think that it's really nice that everyone became a draw this year because it didn't count. So everyone came a draw, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
No, put her in her place a little bit and let her know what that derby score was. But yeah, look, it is kind of unfortunately a nothing season. There was nothing at the end of it, but I think it puts a lot of fire in the belly, and everyone's very excited to get back to it again and finish what we started.
And it must be a good way to now ease your way back into footy, play a bit of WAFLW, hopefully play a final series for Subiaco and perhaps win a premiership there, and then launch yourself into AFLW.
Well, that would be nice. That would be a perfect lead up. Things don't always go to plan though. Last year we finished minor premiers and then didn't actually make the grand final. So, you know, the teams will build throughout the back end of the season, and we've got to keep building as well.
I think probably if anything, Freo announced the way to be successful in the competition and not get the ultimate prize. Probably allows other teams to have a look at what's been going on in Fremantle.
Absolutely. As we start the third quarter here, Fremantle 7 points ahead of Swan Districts. At the moment, a repeat of last year's grand final, which Fremantle won by 23 points. A long way from the grand final just yet in round 4. Both teams looking for their second win of the year inside their first 4 games of the season. Versace with a kick for the Sharks towards half forward. Ralph leaves it behind. Socket off the deck by Riley. She gets it deep inside 50 again. Tracking it, Burton needs to find the handle. Does eventually, gives it back to Riley. Just lost the footy under a bit of pressure from Ralph in the end. O'Sullivan goes to Graham Maguire, kicks for the boundary. Interesting to see how the umpire sees this, because the shoulders were pointed straight at the line and the kick's gone that way. And the umpire says, yes, that's deliberate.
It's probably the first deliberate call I've seen in a very long time, if ever, in the WAFLW. Doesn't get called very often.
I suppose between the arcs, it's already out of play and a free kick, isn't it? But that was deliberate inside the arc.
That was definitely deliberate.
No real attempt to keep that one inside the boundary line. Maguire wins this football and keeps it a long way inside the boundary on this occasion. Oh, he squeezed there was Davison. She's down holding her right ear, probably a left ear as well. It's a genuine sandwich. Gelmy at the back to Maguire. Finds some space where there didn't appear to be any. Then just got touched on the kick on the way out. Wong with the hand pass. Gets it inside to Tinson. Nice bump from Stripley and then goes back and wins the football. The youngster against the East Freo skipper did a very good job there. And now Swans under pressure. Morrison over the footy. Got a player camped on top of her. The umpire decides not to penalise her. Have a ball up in the shadows of the McDonald's stand.
Stripley's she's only small, but she used her little body then very well, and she's got some great skills on her too.
Quite a lot of footy strips at this football club from a young age. Back in the WAFL days, we're allowed to play up as Swans try to move this ball into their forward half. It's got to go through Inglis Hodge. She's battling it out with former 18s teammate Hayley Cole. Good tackle from Hodge, affects the kick. Tinson finds a boot eventually, looks for Gomes. It's a little strong for Gomes. It rolls out over the line, and it will be in the hands of Michaela Hyde. Strong lead from Davison, a little early perhaps. Krasowski further afield. Naira Anderson in front, good ball. Williams, expect that. Cole tries to get through, gets her hands free. Williams battling away. 3-on-1 Williams. Doing very well in front of the commentary box, or just underneath us, and Cole ends up falling down on the pack. Forms, and we'll get a ball up. Neat work from Willow.
Yeah, it's good to see her get in and under. That's, I think, what you're probably most scared of coming back from a serious injury is getting in and under and taking some contact. So really good to see her build into that now.
Strong tackle on Wong. Morrison got Wong close to the body, which of course always looks after the tackled. Sachi tries to go receive and kick in the same motion, was clever. Wong again battling around at grain level. Gets it to Schleiser. Schleiser, the torpedo punt again, second of the day. Tug on the jumper from Walsh. It's great to see her out there. Osborne pushed in the back, but pushed onto the football. Chipped it off the ground now. It's in the path of Webb. Webb can't quite find the handle. Cole going against the float. Looks for Stribley. Stribley be run down by Tinson. Good enough to get her kick away quickly. Now in the hands of Prentice, who looks towards half forward flank, tracking that nicely is Burton. Back feed's good. Trying to kick it off the ground was less so. Sullivan, clean pick up. Surge forward, looks for Curry. Good body work, Ralph. Ralph tracks the ball nicely, but plenty of Sharks again to put some pressure on the Swans. Tracking through again at ground levels. Wong was very neat. She breaks through. Little kick's okay to Riley. Riley pulls it in the path of O'Sullivan. Sullivan has to go back and win it. She pulls it round the corner now. Will favour Brianna Hyde. She's first to arrive, and she's able to clear the ball, at least for the moment, towards Cole. Cole slows as she gets it, and that allows Inglis Hodge to catch her. Inglis Hodge carried her forward in the tackle. Cole wants the ball back. Ruby doesn't want to give it over. His competitor, Ruby Schleiser. Kick's okay for Boucher. Boucher comes through, doesn't take the ball, but takes Williams. Boucher again, although behind the play, Davison has pulled Versace off the ball without it. Some fine old, was it craftsmanship? A gamesmanship by Fiona, just trying to pretend she was going to give that ball back. Gaza Ross gets hit on the chest by the little kick from Versace, and East Fremantle starting to build. Long flat kick should favour Osborne. Tries to take it in front of the face, can't quite complete the catch. That brings a pack of Sharks onto her again. Just trying to pull the ball forward. Cole tries to break through. Good tackle, Wong. Davison got 3 to beat. She does to Wellstra. Wellstra looks for the surge. Favours Williams initially, but Grozowski's got a bit of toe. Williams now clicks it into gear. Nothing in front of Grozowski. She goes along the ground, looking for a runner. It's 2v1 now, though. Grozowski's definitely got to turn a pace, particularly for a tall. She scissor kicks this in the end towards the boundary line. A little bit of pressure after the kick. Gillard has got all of that. She has absolutely used the 3-iron when I didn't know there was one in the kit.
You mentioned the Trent Cooper play before. That is the Clint Degerock play. Get it out of play, but get it miles out of play. If you're going to kick it out on the full, put it up into the grandstand.
Have heard me give that instruction before. If you're going to make a mistake, make it royal. Make the biggest one you possibly can. Kick it out of bounds. Kick it out of the ground. I'm not sure she intended to kick the ball 65 metres.
But she's certainly bought her team some time because every player on the ground's covered now.
Go. Looks like Stribley to bring that ball in. Look careful with the kick. Norris is able to control the ball over the back. Puts her hand up to claim the mark. The umpire agrees. Pressure from Matthews. Matthews has been handy a couple of different games, a couple of different times, as has Bombineri. Nice to see Bombineri get back up into this game. Haven't seen her for a little bit. It's Wellstra is learning her footy craft, and in particular her ruck craft, well in live matches so far this game. And she does enough to get a ball up on the far side.
It's good to see Bombaderi back out there. I actually used to play with her many years ago at West Perth when we were both back there early in my career. Haven't been there for 6 or 7 years now, but she was always a good little player then, and look, she's still running around, doing well.
Still registered to West Perth and type 2 to Swans.
Sullivan used the body well there, just protected the space and took the chest mark. Lining up for a torpedo here. Doesn't time it at all. Wobbles down the ground. Fist comes from Ross. Knocks it back to Slasher. Kick was smothered. Diving effort from Cox. Did very well for Swans. And now Morrison bounces out of a tackle. Then uses it well. Davison always so good overhead. Takes the mark. Swans look promising here on the build. Kick to Grozowski. Hooks inside 50 and there's a couple of spare Sharks back there. The kick goes for Anderson. Getting across. Inglis Hodge gets hands to the footy. Anderson dives in after it as well. Williams is there for East Fremantle. Coughs it up though. Straight to Grozowski. Bounces an awkward ball towards the goal line. It's trapped. Well played by Norris. Just shutting down the danger. And it's out of play for a throw-in. Haley, we've seen this throughout today. Teams get it locked in there forward, probably 70-metre area towards goal for 4 or 5 minutes, maybe even more. Just need to get a score.
Yeah, you need to get it in a bit deeper. Swans built up well then, but the Sharks were able to sort of shut it down. Couldn't get it in nice and deep to actually get that scoring opportunity, but hopefully they can make something of this.
Good tackle by Wong there, made sure that there was no opportunity for Swans to break out of the congestion. Williams in the ruck, wins it down. Davison wanted a right boot, forced back onto her left. She's caught, gets a hand pass away just in time. Brianna Hyde loses the football. Taken away from her by Plushke, and they clear the zone, East Fremantle. Rosie Walsh back on the field, good to see. Turned her opponent around, then socket at 10 metres forward. Great attack on the footy from Nanette. Led her opponent to the footy, but her kick didn't quite get as much on the boot as what she would have liked, and Wong is able to take another saving mark for the Sharks.
All while her opponent was skiing behind her as well. Well done, Nanette. Great intercept, mark 2. for the Sharks. Wellstra, as I said, impressed with her so far this season, building with every game. Norris, very underrated defender. Cox going the wrong way, gets this long and deep to Feebatcher, can't quite get it on the full, does enough to get herself a second service. Handballs to East Fremantle in the end, was looking at the back for Davison. Swans now arrived to just build that pressure again, and Haley, not deep enough again.
No, it's a hot footy out there though. They're all crashing in pretty hard, but yeah, once again stuck at that sort of 60-40 area.
Starting to darken here as well. The lights will take effect. Ball from Davison goes towards Norris again. It spills out the back to Boucher. Boucher turns and is able to get it across the face of goal for a minor score. Norris again just does enough. Now, Norris is an underrated defender. She's not underrated at East Fremantle. They know exactly how good she is. Used her as a defensive forward at times last year. And she's just terrific down back. Was good in that situation too. Boucher nearly got her team going. It's a good kick from Norris too. Well defended by the Swans. Able to open the ground up through Nanette. Nanette kicks the ball to a good spot. Grozowski leads in the chase. She can't quite get a catch. She's got the run of it now. Turns looking for Matthews. Matthews turns it around, kicks it over the shoulder. It's to a good area. It's controlled down there by Plushke. And Plushke kicks it out towards Ross. Bree Hyde will track Ross. Maddie was very good there. Maddie Ross was good there just to toe poke that ball. She's gained a couple of metres for a team and get a reset. She's now doing some work back to defend against Webb. Nearly worked, though. Webb's got out the back. She's tracked by Wong. Wong tackles her to the ground without her having the ball. It's all good, says the umpire. It's all fun on a wet day. Toe pokes the ball towards Stribley. Stribley goes off the ground to Nora Anderson. A little bit in the back there too was Plushke. It's okay as well. Williams will clear this ball. It's not Williams, but the ball will be intercepted regardless. McGuire with one hand did enough to work the body with Bombonieri. Bombonieri to Wellstra, and Wellstra holds the catch in front of her body. And a bit fortunate there for the Swans. Michaela Morrison wandering around with a little honour. She's working. I'm just saying she's not really roving this, but she's actually going into rebound position. Wellstra will go along to the square. It's a neat kick, and the Flyers are there. They fly over the back. It's not quite held at the back of that by Boucher. Pulled around on the corner. Still pressure time for East Fremantle. Spiked down by them. Versace will go off the deck. It's in the hands of Morrison. Morrison always good in this situation. She lines them up. The flat punt will slide. Won't have the distance. Wong on the line. It's towed over by Fee Boucher. Michaela Morrison opens the game up, and Boucher picks the cherry. The Swans are coming. They've been building their 50s. They've been building their repeat entries. And the Sharkies haven't quite been able to clear that ball. All in deep, and just a little cheapy to Fee. She breathes a big sigh of relief, and she needs to go and give her fellow forwards a cuddle for that, because it was good defensive pressure.
Yeah, it goes to show if you keep it down there long enough, something good will come from it, and that's what Swans did then. They built that wall, and the East Freo defence, they did really well. They stopped it as much as they could, but if you keep going, keep pushing, an opportunity will open up, and Fee Boucher took that.
Certainly very persistent, Swan Districts. And they've levelled the scores. General feel of players at East Fremantle have just had the edge for most of today, but they haven't been able to quite put Swans away at any stage here. And it's getting a lot darker. The clouds are building away to our right. There's a free kick for a push in the back here, which will go East Fremantle's way. Versace, she's starting to get into the game. Kicks to half forward. O'Sullivan opposed to Nanette. Nanette does enough to make the spoil. O'Sullivan gets back to the footy first. Little hand pass out to Gomes. Just toes it forward about 10 metres. Gilmy in front of her opponent. Works it forward for Swans. It comes to Cox. Hurried kick in the Matthews direction. Knocked over by Plushke, who wins the footy. Diving smother from Cox just affects the kick. Nanette keeps it in front. She's done that well 2 or 3 occasions this quarter. And now earns her side a stoppage. Dex, she's one you've worked with a little bit in the programs at the Footy Commission, and you must be impressed with some of her work this quarter, Emma Nanette.
It's starting to look like a bit of a breakout for her. She's really attacking that loose ball. She's got a lot of drive and run. She's very highly skilled. But yeah, nice to see her coming off her opponent to effective contests.
Gomes with the kick forward for East Fremantle, but Gelmy's there in the way again. Off to Maguire. Kicks sideways, hoping for Cole. She's got a couple to beat now. Maddie Ross favoured by the bounce of the footy. Great fight again from Cole, though. She's done well here because she's bought herself some time for Stribley to come in and help out as well, and she'll be happy with the draw. Did very well, Hayley Cole, and we'll see a ball up right beneath our broadcast position. You can hear in our effects mic the crowd, the home crowd, saying to get behind their team.
See any crowd, they're all undercover.
We can hear it, but they must be here somewhere. Bird crashes in hard. We'll see a ball up. Our scoreboard on the screen says 15-14. The scoreboard here at the ground says 15 all. I'm pretty sure it is 15 all. Sounds more like a tennis score than a footy score, but we'll go with it with about 6.5 to go in the third.
Bird out of the air, tries to surge that ball forward. Maguire gives it a chance to go out. It's towed over by Gabby Sullivan, but off Emily Maguire's hands. At the timekeepers in the box looking for Swans to surge. They're waving their arms around. Very invested in this game. 10 metres in and thrown into the corridor. This will favour Bowie. Maneri's okay here. Michaela Hyde had the read of it, and she runs onto it like it was just for her. A couple of bounces. There's no one approaching except for Inglis Hodge. It skittles through her. It's towed forward by Wellstra. She's got some toe herself. She should turn onto the right foot and pull it around. Some defensive work's done quite well by Gomes, but she doesn't attack the foot. It's Davison out the back. Match, or at least goal-saving tackle from Gillard. Somehow dispose of that by hand. Gillard will be asking herself, what does she have to do to freebie? She ends up with the ball in her hands and doesn't die wondering for the most of the time. Zoe Gillard chooses to focus on Sinead Davison rather than commentating the game, which is always a good thing to do. Matthews pressured off it nicely. Schleiser trying to get the run. She'll surge with the chance. Versace chooses to go to ground. Maybe looking for a little one from the ump. Maguire's best place. A little bit of candy, but run down from behind by Curry. Still stands up in the tackle. Strong enough to get to Stribley. Stribley worried off it in the end. I think it might have been Michaela Hyde that gave her the bump there. Defensive setup was nice from Cripps. She marks in front of Sparks. Olivia Cripps. Into the top of 50. Bowie gets the run, and Bowie doesn't quite complete the mark on the chest. Ishmael under pressure again. Trying to surge forwards, Bomboneri. Tackling pressure now comes from the Swannies. It's neatly done. Ishmael starting to look a little bit pressured, which is hard to do. Very professional outfit, the Sharks. Wellstra, good tap to Michaela. Good clearing back bump from behind from Cox. And Naira Anderson almost overhead. Has time to have a look. Looks for Matthews inside. Matthews steps inside to the right. Tries to pull this around. She's done a little too much with the ball or a little too little. But a bit of a drop punt there might have been okay too.
Not far away, Swans. Not far away.
Very good forward pressure. They're just locking it in there and yeah, like you said, these three are a little bit flustered.
Speaking of forward pressure, that is fallen into the hands of Michaela Hyde, who's really done some work today. Davis on the lead, can't quite get the Gillard with a good body pressure, gets her under the ball. It's Bree Hyde, my apologies, and she goes back in again. Bree tries to track the ball, done very well this year to keep her feet in these contests, does so again here. This is with Versace. Versace has a soccer background, also got a bit of a soccer name. Jess Cox tries to get this ball back to Osborne. It's a hot ball now. Crashing through on the far side, the Sharks, and the surge kick from Schleiser will relieve the pressure just for the moment. It's a good bounce to Sparks. So Sparks is the deepest player for the Sharks. Amy Ralph runs past her. Enough pressure from Sparks just to see if some cavalry can arrive. It does in Walsh, but not before the ball's clean to Osborne.
So Osborne for Swans. Most players on the ground are ahead of her, so it's pretty congested where she'll be landing this football. Umpire gives her the hurry up. She's going to kick into the middle. It's a dangerous ball, but it's worked out okay. Ralph takes it. Can keep the switch going. Maguire, if she wants, she kicks further than that. Wheelstra. The instrumental zone shifts across. Wheelstra wants to go straight down the middle. Cox in good position. Versace gets back, makes the swirl. Great one-handed pick up by Webb. Didn't get much on it with the left boot. Davison will get a lot more with the right. It's an open goal. Screw it, it's a goal! Brilliant snap from Sinead Davison. And great work there from a number of Swans players, but Jess Cox was involved in a number of little incidents in that passage. And this is a great finish here from Sinead Davison. And Haley, you'd have to say Swans have deserved this. They've had pretty much 90% of the play in their attacking half this quarter.
Yeah, absolutely. They're setting up perfectly. I think their coaches will be very, very happy with what they're doing at the moment, and that build up, sort of like we spoke about, they love to do that sort of switch to the fat side of the ground, and that's what they did. And great finish by Sinead Davison there as well.
Two anchors. Swans have got sort of two anchors on board, haven't they? So Sparks was down there and had to sort of own the length of the ground, but had to contend with two Swans. So Swannies obviously trying to keep an outnumber behind the ball. As you pointed out, Haley, they're really set up well in the perimeter once they're in their 450. Stra misses that. Bowie goes back and gets it first. Webb using her pace. She's dragging along. She's pulling a caravan in Wong. Wong picks up the footy and ends up in the hands of Bree Hyde. It looks like she's moved to a wing. She's in started to impose herself on this game too. Yep, defensive structure dropout's really nice by Brianna Hyde. Wilstra keeps it close. Schleiser surges forward. Osborne reads this well. Skittles through her. Doesn't beat Cripps. She nudges her opponent off the footy, which is good from a young player. Kayla Hyde, like a lion on a wounded gazelle, she sensed there was a chance for her to get a freebie. Long drop behind the play there, but by Webb. It looked accidental, but a strong hit towards Cole. Cole spoils it in the end towards Michaela Hyde. There's a little bit of holding on going on, the Sharkies. I can't see that Swans have outpaced them. Your ball first mentality. Sullivan, like she does like to do, just tries to bowl her way through. Like Spark off the ground towards Bird. Schleiser's ended up forward. It's in the hands of Osborne to Maguire and Osborne. Outlet kick will land with Gomes. Gomes protecting really well. She plays on quickly. Rolls through the centre of the ground. It's a good approach. The kick is good. Osborne gets in the way. Lily Bird, the crumb, spoiled by Ralph. Ralph goes and gets it now. She's swinging around the tackle. Handball through the front of the pack. Swooping on this is Ross. She's quick, Ross. Inside out, kicks okay to Schleiser. She drops the mark on the chest. She tries the quick kick. Can't quite work. That looks like another move by Coach Werbo. Nikki Harwood looks like she's pushed Schleiser forward. Not a bad move. Not a bad move.
No, she probably should have taken that one, Ruby. She's got some good skills on her, and she's tall. That was right on her chest, but unfortunately couldn't hold on.
Smashing the ball down there is Bowie. Looks like Ralph tracking that. He falls in the hands of Wong, who's beaten by the siren. Walsh had great position at the back of that contest, and it's an interesting thing. It's a goal ahead from Swan Districts. I agree. I think East Fremantle have had the bulk of the ball in this game. Swans had the bulk of the ball in that quarter, and they were actually able to strike just the 2 times, but it was enough to get themselves in the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. No, look, that one really, would have really hurt Swans if they'd have let, I guess if Ruby had taken that mark, because that probably would have been a known goal, knowing the skills that she's got. But look, really great quarter by Swans, and this is probably a position you don't want to be in if you're East Freo. When Swans have got their tails up, they can sniff a win, and they're young, they'll want to run with that. So it'll be really interesting to see who comes out and cracks in next quarter.
And Reg, this time last week, Subi had managed to get goal against the play to go in just a little bit too far ahead. So that could have been a similar heartbreaking moment for the Swannies, but this time the Swannies go into 3/4 time with just a little bit more momentum than they did this time last week.
They held East Fremantle scoreless in that quarter, 2 goals to Swan Districts, and they lead it by a 6-point margin. It's 3/4 time. It's getting pretty dark here as well. The rain could be coming in the last quarter. So much to play for these two sides. It's Swans by 6 points.
The V6 twin turbo rear-wheel drive Kia Stinger. It took 7 years to create and 4.9 seconds to understand why.
Sorry.
This way.
It's funny.
Dad.
Party purpose.
Shh. Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Just a goal into the 3/4 time on On a dark, wet and cold day here at Steel Blue Oval, Swans lead at 3-3-21 to 2-3-15 the Sharks. Dave Lindsay, Clint Degerbrot and Hayley Miller, your commentary team. Hayley's got some news. Around the grounds reporter, Hayley Miller, what's the update from the match between Peel and Claremont today?
Well, we've just got news in that Peel actually won that one by 8 points over Claremont, so it just makes it very interesting in terms of the ladder at the moment. So that makes this game all the more important to win for both of these teams.
Our broadcast match next week, I think, is East Fremantle and Claremont, which becomes fascinating as well. The Tigers 2 wins and 2 losses now from their first 4 games. And East Fremantle, if they manage to come from behind today, would be on the same record, but a loss today for the Sharks. And that means that next week's game against Claremont becomes absolutely must-win. Here's the Swan District huddle as we move into highlights when the sun was shining earlier in this quarter. And Hayley, it was really a quarter pretty much dominated by Swans in the end.
Yeah, well, I guess the first half you probably would have given it to East Fremantle, but definitely in that third quarter, Swans did what they do best and switched the footy, used their foot skills really well, and probably just read the conditions a little bit better. The fact that it was a little bit sunny and using their skills by foot and a couple of little cheeky handballs, and look, they were just on top the whole quarter, I think.
Best bodywork in this game, just as we go through this highlight reel. A lot of pressed ham, a lot of heads being squeezed, and a lot of big body contests. It's been good. It's very clever by Brzezowski to get that moving forward. That was before Zoe Gillard kicked the longest kick of her life. It went 67.5 metres. Hit the brickmaker sign underneath the scoreboard on the far side. The other thing too, I was going to say before, Hayley, was we were talking about the fact that Subi are 4-0. The chance for one of these teams to be 2-2. Of course, Peel will be 3-1 now, and that's the most successful season they've had in WAFLW history. It's been going for 1.5 seasons now, but 1 win last year, 3 wins so far this year.
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of a surprise packet. We haven't actually played them yet. We've got them next week, so it'll be really interesting to see. Obviously, our coach Amy Lavelle will do her homework on Peel and to see what she has to sort of counteract what they've done. I know they've got a lot of young players, so that's probably what they're playing off, just a bit of instinct, and that's what they need down in Peel to turn things around. They've had some tough seasons, so it's really good to see that they're starting to turn things around and could be a good season for them.
I want to mention too, before you get us started for the last quarter, Reggie, All-Star commentary box next week. So they're retiring one of the hacks for the week, and they're sticking in Hayley Miller and Cara Antonio with yourself. So that's good enough just to listen to that.
I'm looking forward to spending an afternoon in the commentary box at East Fremantle Oval with the girls. There could be a bit of banter between the two, I would have thought. Especially seeing as Hayley cost Cara home last week. So,
and then wouldn't let her move in. Wouldn't let the Antonios move in with her either.
Now the rain has returned here to Steel Blue Oval, which makes things just a little bit tougher for East Fremantle. The breeze going dead set straight across the ground at full speed as well towards the outer side of Bastardine Oval. No one's had a clear possession just yet. A couple of soccer kicks either way. A lot of paddling over the ball for Saatchi. She's camped on top of it. The umpire will ball it up. It's only light rain at the moment.
Some work to do for the gentleman that does the jumper and the uniform wash this week. Bit extra nappy sand in the kit.
Getting very dark here as well. Versace with a soccer kick. Bree Hyde with a paddle and then goes back and wins the footy. Hand passes away to Davison. Just about best on ground, I reckon, Sinead Davison. Done some outstanding work here today. Kicked the goal to put Swans in front late in that third quarter. Morrison fighting hard against Tinson. We'll see a ball up at centre half forward. The lights taking effect. They're not huge, strong, powerful lights here, but they're certainly helping. Tinson, a hand pass away. Combs off half back. Hurried kick. Up in front, Slisher. Off hands at the back, Nana. Weighted down well. Her kick's a bit of a tumbling ball. Out in front of Anderson. Gets past her. Pressure comes from behind by Krasowski. Now Anderson's dived on the footy. I think the umpire's going to ping her this time, holding the ball. East Fremantle free kick to Gomes at half back, and they need to get things going as the rain starts to get a little heavier.
Hard to hear it on the roof of the commentary box. This is favouring Schleiser. Does some terrific body work, but can't quite reel it in. Gelmy pressuring her. Lily Bird. Get to Bree Hyde. Who misses her boot. Finds Gomes' boot. That's a very, very, very late night disco move. Nice and upright. Low stick wouldn't have gone aside with that little move. Webb out in front of her face. Ball's always a little dry at the start of the quarter. It's going to get real wet real quick here today. Ira Anderson. Williams can't quite get through, but releases the ball. Lily Bird attacks Krasowski. Krasowski never had the ball. Krasowski just knows who Lily Bird is now. Maybe that was the method. Form a new friendship throughout the week, perhaps. Well read by Gillard. Comes and affects the spoil. Almost tackles Versace in the end. Versace's clever with her kick, finds some space to work with. Lauren Osborne equal to the challenge. Gets it to Gelmy. And Gelmy hits Michaela Hyde. She shows a bit of candy to Ashley Gomes and goes through with the right foot. It's a bit flat. Michaela Morrison nearly. It's over the back. It's cleared only as far back to Michaela Hyde. And Michaela Hyde is no slouch with ball in hand in front of the goals. It's a fair way out. Not great conditions. They have heavier legs, I imagine. To the square. Favours Anderson. And Anderson's able to take the mark. And this could be a telling kick for goal. Watch this replay careful. She just pulls this ball across Michaela Hyde. It really favours both Morrison and Anderson, called around under severe pressure from Norwich, who, as I've said already, is one of my favourite defenders in this competition.
I think it's East Freo do that really well. Is their second rate, sort of their second level players, I should say, really step up, and that's what they need to do now. They don't have a lot of their AFLW players, and we see that one just slot straight through there. Really great kick there by Naira Anderson.
Naira Anderson's made this really difficult for East Fremantle now as the rain starts to tumble. I was going to say before, Reggie, the first goal here really important because it just makes it, you can now muscle out and slow the play down. I don't think Swans will look to do that. I think they'll continue to surge. Interesting to see what East Fremantle's got now.
Well, the other thing, Hayley, is that East Fremantle haven't scored a goal since early in the second quarter. Swans have kicked the last 4.
Yeah, it's looking a little bit gloomy for East Fremantle at the moment. And look, they needed to get the first goal of this quarter, but really great work by Swans again, surging forward and putting it through.
Heaviest rain we've had so far today. Bit of concern for the commentators as we start considering our trek back to our cars as well. It's always something to keep in mind while you're enjoying watching a bit of rain in the last quarter. You want it to dry up pretty quick. Secondary ball up needed. Alston in the ruck. Wins it East Fremantle's way. Diving in on top is Cox. Ball spills out to Wong. Hurry kick forward. Coming up to meet the footy. And picking it up pretty cleanly there was Burton, but the hurry kick forward just falls in the lap of Maguire, who you imagine will position herself a kick behind the play back in defence, and that's a nice mark from Gelmy. In the wet, slippery conditions, a good juggling act to take that one. Her kick goes wide. It'll splash in a puddle. Needs to be touched before the line by Cox. She can't get there.
Speaking of Burton, I've been told she actually won the A-grade best and fairest for the amateurs last year, so great to see her take the step up to the next level.
Gelmy, good contest. Cox, hurry kick. Anderson playing in front. She gets better every week, Naira Anderson. Gets this one on long and high. Clears the pack, spills out the back. Tinson, strong through that contest, hands it off to Gillard. Quick kick forward, Cox did well, made a good contest again. She's done that a number of times today. Riley with the soccer kick. Just earned some ground. Maguire's caught, great tackle by Ross. Needs to get it inside 50 quickly. She does, it's a good kick. Gives Burton a chance. Hand pass on towards Walsh. Applies the tackle on Osborne as the rain pelts down. The umpire calls her for a ball up.
Emily Maguire didn't like getting caught holding the ball then. Maddie Ross probably should have taken a little bit of time and put it in a little bit nice of her teammates, but they've got it in there now. They've got to lock it in.
Speaking of Emily Maguire, we haven't mentioned how well she's patrolled that half-back line, and her control of the play has been pivotal.
Just pivotal. Don't make it any harder than it needs to be.
We're going for 5 syllables. I'm trying to show you know how dumb people try to show how smart they are? Yep, you just witnessed that. So you need to give that ball back to Wellstrup. She does that now. Maguire's been excellent in her control of the game. Her field positioning and her gap control has been good. Umpires have finally sorted this out. Must have been a hold ahead of the play because these two were not in the game. Just kicks a little too careful. Favours Versace, who drops the chest mark. Pouring down now, as you can probably see on your screens. Maddie Ross, don't get slower as the game gets longer, and she's nice and quick. She gives it towards the advantage of Walsh. She can't quite get a handle. It's back with Maguire, and Maguire is able to feather this ball out towards Webb. Just not enough carry. Webb's smart. Chops it along the ground nicely. Davison probably do the same. She does. Naira Anderson nearly gets in the way. Matthews tackle without it. Again. There's been a fair bit of that today. Never possessed that football. It was a full wraparound tackle. No one's complaining. Or am I really? Cox, that's good movement at the stoppage there from Jess Cox, and a great tap from Wilstra too. Kicking it back into the pack was Michaela Hyde. Holwell. Clean and nice surge. Left foot goes towards Boucher. Usually has been plying her trade in the back line. Michaela Morrison slips free. She's got onto her right foot. She's running into an open goal. She keeps it low. It skids along the ground, and that could be good night. That's a terrific kick from Michaela Morrison, who just took the game on. We might get a replay of that because it's worth seeing again. Some surge football, some clean hands from Holwell. Falls, she takes on Norrish, strains those hips, runs straight at the goals, and just runs along the turf. Some experience, some raw skill from Michaela Morrison.
That's what you want to see from your quick forwards is take the game on when you do have that space in front of you and settle and actually kick the goal. So she did that really well, even though she had a little bit of pressure coming in from the side. She's only going to get better at that, but really good signs early in her career.
It's almost like the veterans, Maguire, Osborne, Ralph, are keeping Swans in the game, and it's the kids that are actually breaking the game open. Anderson's got 2, Morrison's got 1. Davison's been outstanding. She's kicked 1 as well. They're going forward again. Morrison, she was stripped to the footy on that occasion, holding the ball. But they're the ones that are just providing that spark that's making the difference. Gillard, free kick.
Fee Boucher to crash that pack 2v1 and allow that ball to spill free to Holwell.
Gillard will want to go straight down the pipe, into the middle of the ground. Clears the pack, out the back. Dragged off the footy was Cripps. Apply a good tackle to hold it in again. Holwell does some important things. I like the way she gets boot the ball quickly, gains ground. These conditions suit her really nicely. Bowie wins in the ruck, gains 5 metres. Sliding hand pass from Cox. They're feeding it back. Always a little bit dangerous in these sort of conditions. East Fremantle have managed to gain ground without gaining possession. They'll have a stoppage at centre half forward.
It's only early in the 4th quarter, but you'd be a little bit worried if you're an East Fremantle supporter at the moment. They need to get on the board real quick.
A lot of work to do. Davison working back to help out now in defence. Great win there in that contest by Ross. This is where they've been breaking down. The kick going very wide at half forward. Spark gives chase. It'll go out. Just a 3-quarter lasso from the boundary umpire, but it's still a free kick to Maguire from beneath the scoreboard. They're in control here, Swans. They've kicked the last 5 goals of the game. They only kicked their first goal just before half-time. East Fremantle haven't managed to kick a goal from that point on, and Swans have kicked 5. Though East Fremantle will get a free kick here. Centre wing, outer side. Tinson goes to retrieve the footy. She'll be the one with the free kick as we click past the 10-minute mark of the last quarter.
I don't blame the boundary umpire for lack of effort there with that call. It's a cold and lonely place, the far side of Swan District's oval at the moment. Fremantle looking to go inside 50. They will off Amy Ralph's hands. Lovely little turn around the corner again from Burton. She's got some toe and some smarts. Stribley's owned the length of this contest. She's got to stand under it with Rosie Walsh. Rosie Walsh has slipped out the back. Tara Stribley's trying to run her down. Walsh just wrestles. She's pulled off the football.
Oh, high.
And she's been given a free kick for a high tackle. Just outside the goal square, so she'll be on a terrific angle. You can see on replay, Stribley fighting out of her weight class and out of her age class. Gets this tackle on and does pull on that shoulder and does have a little hold of the ponytail too. Umpire on spot. That's enough to get a kick in footy.
She's done well to actually get her over the shoulder there. There's a bit of a height mismatch.
She had to jump up. So Rosie Walsh kicked 11 goals for in her first game of reserves on approach to keep East Fremantle in it, and she just gently pokes it in, and she's got 2. So Rosie Walsh, a little bit of a scare earlier in the game when she kicked her first. She's able to get the Sharks on the board against the flow of play, and unbelievably, as it's got rainier and windier and more horrible, this game is broken open. We're seeing some good play and plenty of goals.
Yeah, more goals as it started raining.
Sharks like the water. Swan Districts call themselves the Black Ducks. There's enough water and mud out there to keep both of those animals very happy.
Let's get the commentary team happy because we've stayed interested in this one. For the contest, we'd love to see East Fremantle get the next goal pretty quickly as well.
I know that East Fremantle box beside us will like it. I think we'll put a flutter through the Swan Districts box on the far side. Lovely goal from Rosie Walsh, and I like it when players decide to run and push because it puts so much pressure on the opposition to try and get involved, and Stribley out of weight, age and height class. Unfortunately, gave the free kick away.
About 8 minutes of play left in this one. The Sharks need 2 goals to level things up. They're just barging the ball forward. The soccer from O'Sullivan towards Bird. Slasher will have a second go at this one. Might need a third now after fumbling again. Goes back in and wins it. Going with the tackle. Out the side to Gomes. Hurried kick forward. Maguire in good position, but it slips over the back. Needed to keep it in front. Bit of tunnel ball played by Burton. No one there for support. Slasher comes, gets involved yet again. Kick goes wide. Ralph opposed to Walsh. Ralph keeps it in and then kicks into the corridor, which is an interesting call. Cripps does well. Her kick flaring out wide. That's Webb who's able to save the day for Swans.
Cripps a bit cheeky, claiming the mark. Ball travel 5 metres.
This kick, O'Sullivan stretching with the one hand, couldn't reel it in. Second effort is good. Tries to put the step on a couple of players. Her kick was blocked by the legs of an opponent. Stribley with a high kick. Clears the area for the moment at least. Inglis Hodge is caught. Cox with a good tackle, rewarded. You mentioned last week, Dex, that she's a much improved player, and there's no doubt about that. She looks fitter. She looks more competitive. She's playing some good footy.
Self-belief too. She drives this ball forward, intercepted by the Sharks, so the mark is not taken by Plushke. Jess Cox always had the skills, very clean hands, very good feet, and she reads the game very well. Just had to make sure that her mind and her desire and her fitness were able to carry that, and she's done that well. She's become a key part of this Swans midfield. Oh, kicking off the ground, trying to get under that was Wong. I think, did she take it in the head in the end? Falcon from O'Sullivan. Or was it on the body perhaps?
I don't know if Gabby's actually had any possessions this game. She's kicked them all off the ground.
What are they called? Disposals rather than possessions?
Oh, disposals, I should say.
I think you get a disposal, but you don't get a possession, if that makes any
right.
sense. That's a possession and a disposal. She kicks towards Burton again, who's manhandled by Nanit, who's really stood up today, although she's had some support around her. Osborne's been good. So is Maguire. The outlet's been good since quarter time. Outlet representation by the Swans has been good, and getting it to Bianca Webb in that area of the ground is a good idea. Webb barking orders on your screen. Wong has been a warrior for this football club for a long, long time and has been a warrior again today. It looks to have Davison now. That height she stands with. It's a good throw in. On that angle, they refuse to throw it in the corridor. Train their whole lives to throw it in on the angle. Female game, bring it in 10, throw it directly into the corridor.
At least this year we are seeing the boundary umpires come in that 10 metres straight away. I think last year took a bit of ego out of them when they got told to bring it in 10. I
remember.
They thought they were going back to juniors. And
round one, Gabby asked the bloke to come in and throw it in, and he said, "No thanks, mate, I'll make the distance." She said, "Please come in, it's the rules." And he said, "I'm right, thanks, Gab." He had a little chat to the umpires coaches and they were sorted that out. But Gabs has actually umpired AFLW football and knows the rules pretty well. Ball in the hands of O'Sullivan on the far side of the ground. Kicks towards the contest there. It was Osborne with a fist. Falls for Wellstra. Called to play on. Touch ball. Surge kick towards the corridor was okay. Tracking it nicely. Looks like Plushke's approaching. From the other direction it's Burton. Webb off the ground. Favours Cole. She stands her ground. Inglis Hodge overruns it. At the back of the contest now with Fee Boucher. Get a little reset, which I think will suit both teams. Started fatigue in this last quarter.
Hard to see East Fremantle getting the 2 goals they need in 4 minutes to level this one up. They've had enough of the footy this quarter, but just can't generate shots on goal. Oh, the kick from Riley went straight into the midriff of Hyde, and she's down and a bit sore. Good mark in defence from East Fremantle. The saving mark being taken down there by Prentice. Prentice's kick, though, favours Swan Districts. There's 4 Swans at this contest. Morrison's kick, though, smothered. Wheelstra with the soccer kick. Quick hands from Bird, off to Tinson. Can't handle the footy. Wheelstra goes again. Gets it towards the arc. Cole playing in front. Did well. Holds it up. Allows Davison to come in and support. Krasowski's lurking. Norris beats it to the football. High kick. Morrison juggling. Can't take it. And shoves her opponent out the way. Wins the footy. Kicks it deep. Chance for Swans. Boucher could just about finish this one off. Can't get a kick away, though. Under pressure from Williams. A little soccer kick. Cole now hurries it forward once more. Anderson charging back towards goal. Norris gets there first. Kicks close to the boundary. Gomes confronted by Cole. She's caught, and as a result, the kick goes out of bounds on the full. And Swans working very hard to keep this ball inside attacking 50. And it's gone over the fence, which chews up a bit of clock as well.
Gomes there. Haley stepped inside the field of play and opened up the attacking part for Swans instead of closing the game.
Yeah, absolutely. She probably made a little bit of a mistake there, and it's costly for her and her team, unfortunately. I don't think we can see East Freo. They looked really promising there for a little while, but unfortunately no goals scored, and that's what you need. They desperately need.
Lib's got a long foot. Well, she's got a little bit of outside on this one. Trying to catch it overhead was Prentice. Picking it up and maybe pushing it through was the right idea. It's Prentice again. She goes along the ground. It's going to trickle out of bounds. Swans appeal AFL style for a freebie. None forthcoming, none deserved. It's good defensive pressure on the Sharks. Going into the corridor, that's for sure. Throw in. Looks like Alex Williams in the ruck. Don't let Trent Cooper see that. Yeah, Brianna Hyde tries to find space behind. She looks for Michaela Hyde. It's back with Michaela Hyde. It's in the hands of Anderson. They played a lot of Rogers Cup together, those three. Some state 18s too. Over the head of Nanit. He's pressed up well. Maguire shoveled and pushed and shoved. Ruby Schleiser does the same thing for Gelmy. Gelmy doesn't like that at all. She sets upon Ruby Schleiser in an attempt to turn this footy over. Got another ball up, and I think this is what the Swans are driving for at the moment.
Yeah, just on 90 seconds, just about to go in this one. Riley, hurried kick forward through the hands of Nanit. Out the back it goes. Slicer with the football. Kicks long and high. It's a foot race between Osborne and Spark. Osborne should be too quick. She charges at this football now. She needs to be clean, and she is. Does well. Thought about going the right boot. Swings to the left instead. Has time to straighten up. And that'll be just about enough for Swans. That was the danger play there. Away goes Holwell. She's run a long way on the left. Just puts it in front of a teammate. It skids past Cole. Out the back is Tinson. But G-Swans have done well since copping a bit of an onslaught early. East Fremantle the first 2 goals of the game, but Swans responded with the next 5. Bit of cramp perhaps here for O'Sullivan. She marks and plays on. Gives it off to Tinson. Dumped in the tackle. Just got the kick away in time. Osborne in front of Walsh. Great chase from Rosie Walsh. Did very well. Ball comes out in the end. Morrison. Little sidestep. Gets onto a right boot. Kicks into the corridor. Slam to the ground. That'll be a free kick, being held without it after the ball had come out. Sinead Davison argues that it was a throw, but the free kick's coming back. And Samara Plushke will take it.
It's when you know it's your first game back. Gabby's struggling with you, still struggling with a big cramp on the far side of the oval. Good luck trying to get off from there.
Probably the worst place on the ground to get cramp, isn't it?
Yep.
You're not getting the interchange gates too quickly from out there. And the worst feeling will come in about 10 seconds when the siren goes as well. Because this has been a great performance from Swans in the end. They looked as though they were outclassed early on. But there will be a big cheer from the Swans fans that are beneath us. As the Black and Whites take the win. They hadn't won since round 1 when they knocked off Peel Thunder. Losses to Claremont and Supi over the last fortnight. But today, after being 2 goals down early in the second quarter, they went on a charge, 5 goals in a row, and put the game beyond the Sharks, who have now lost 3 on the trot. And the reigning premiers, their premiership defence is looking in some jeopardy at the moment. 12-point win to Swan Districts. Hayley Miller from Subiaco and Fremantle AFLW. What did you make of that one?
Yeah, it did look all East Freo early, but Swans have run out the game really well. They managed to lock it down in that last quarter, whilst trying to obviously push their way as well. Yeah, both teams have some youngsters, but I think, yeah, Swans really stood up there when they needed to and probably had the run in the legs a little bit more. They just looked like they were up and about. And, yeah, like I said, ran out the game really well.
Some of the highlights from the final quarter, Degs, and you mentioned in the call that the experience of Maguire, just one of her pieces of work there, just the experienced players managed to hold Swans in the game long enough that when the young kids had their moments and they took them, they were actually the match winners.
I think the club, Swan Districts Footy Club's done really well to play their talented players up early. So if, like Olivia Cripps is playing as a 15, turning 16-year-old, she's physically ready, she's emotionally mature enough to get a game, so she gets a game, same as Tara Stribley. They've been doing that for a number of years now. They could have won probably the last 5 Rogers Cups, but they've played the kids. There's been some quality Rogers Cup sides, 2 Peel Thunder, South Fremantle, don't get me wrong. But what they've done is they've been able to get games into these young players. And those young players today were the ones, the Hydes, at the right time, Davison, they were able to stand up when they had to stand up. And we all thought with the the lack of AFLW players coming back into the club, they might struggle, but maybe they've done their groundwork and their grassroots footy is going to be enough to get them through this season.
They've always sort of drilled it into their players, the style of football. They haven't wavered from that over the last 10 years. I'd say they have that switch footy, and despite the conditions today, they managed to actually do that on more than one occasion, and that's what probably led to their goals is being able to switch it to the fat side and get clean entry into the forward line.
I'm going to read the goal kickers here, Dex, and I reckon it'll put a smile on your face. Swans, Anderson kicked 2, Davison 1, Morrison 1 and Boucher 1, East Fremantle, Rosie Walsh 2 and Riley 1. I reckon all but Fee Boucher might be just a year or two above the State Academy age. I think they're pretty much all in the State Academy.
Well, it's apart from that one that's played 225 games of league football for the last 20 years, as we're in the Swans huddle. Great pictures brought to you by Front Row Screens. I want you to listen along. Well, the same song as the boys sing, except it's got a bit more melody when the ladies sing it.
Jen, the other thing I noticed, Trent Cooper was down there having a chat with a few of the AFLW players from East Fremantle. The moment the rain came, Hayley, he's gone. I'll chat to you during the week, I reckon, he said.
Yeah, absolutely. Get out of here. It's started to pour down again now, so the girls will be glad that they're done.
Yeah, and we're probably going to have to make our way to the car through driving rain. But it's been fantastic to have you with us. We look forward to you joining us next week alongside your great mate as well, Juddy. It should be great to have the two of you in the box, but great to have your insight today.
Thank you so much. Look forward to next week.
Deggers, again, great job, and you can earn yourself a week off next week.
I get to watch the other game next week, which is just as good fun as well.
No, it's been great, and you can see the conditions we've got here right now. It is great to see there's some girls' games that are going to be going on, some local community footy out here as the main game goes off the ground. We're going to have some young girls out here getting their chance to have a splash around in the puddles and a kick of the footy. But it's been a big day here for Swans. They've run out winners over East Fremantle by 12 points. We look forward to your company again next week on our WAFLW stream.
This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud naming rights partner of the Waffle and the WAFLW. The rear-wheel drive V6 twin-turbo Kia Stinger. Simply Energy, proudly supporting WA footy. And the West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams.